season.
That ball is gone.
This is Turner Sports.
NASCAR on TNT, live on this Sunday afternoon in Northern California. San Francisco, the city by the bay. So many things to see and do. You've got Alcatraz, Larry and Kyle like to call it The Rock. And don't forget about the Golden Gate Bridge. Did you know more than 100,000 people cross it daily? Then you head 40 miles to the north. Put yourself in Sonoma, the heart of wine country. That's where the Sprint Cup Series is going road racing today. And when the Cup teams are in town, you know there will be traffic, right? It's usually not a driver that's stuck in traffic. This tweet from Kevin Harvick. He says it's backed up farther than I can see. He blames it on Dale Jr., who won last week at Michigan. When it comes to road racing, there are some guys you got to keep an eye on, like Marcos Ambrose. He won the last time we went road racing. That was in August at Watkins Glen. He's on the pole today, and starting alongside him, Jeff Gordon, the four-time champion, a five-time winner right here at Sonoma. Weather for today, absolutely gorgeous. It's what you would expect in Northern California. 64 degrees, a bit breezy, no chance of rain. It's going to be sunny all afternoon long. And the fans are here, and they are ready to watch some big-time action on the road course. Yeah, give it up. We're just over an hour away from putting the green flag in the air. So glad you decided to spend your Sunday afternoon with us here on Countdown to Green. With Kyle Petty and Larry McReynolds, I'm Adam Alexander. Is this heaven or what? One of the great scenes in all of NASCAR.
Well, we've been coming here once a year since 1989, and I think when we first started coming out here, the drivers, the teams, everyone looked at it where we're just going to another road course. But I think once we finally learned about this area, everyone loves road course racing, but especially coming to Sonoma.
Yeah, so keep this booth from spinning today, because I've been out here for 2 or 3 days, and I did take the wine tour, so I just want to be calm today.
Did you ride the wine train?
Wine train? You got to ride the wine train, baby.
We're lucky we got him off. You know, the atmosphere in Sonoma, always good. It was pretty good in Michigan last week as well. Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning for the first time in 4 years. I visited with driver 88 here in California on Friday afternoon.
Congratulations, Judge. You deserve the button. Hey, good job, man. I know you guys have been waiting on that one. I know I am.
There's been a lot of anticipation about when's it going to happen. Now that it's happened, and all the fun that came with it. Was it what you thought it would be?
The win itself, you know, was great and fun and everything you dream about. The extra stuff's really what you don't think about or what you don't imagine happening, and that's who reaches out to you to tell you you did a good job. I wish I could have won a lot more races in the last 4 years so that this win wasn't such a big deal, but it is fun to walk around Hendrick Motorsports and see all those people get excited over something that your group did.
In Victory Lane, you thank the fans for staying behind you and continuing to believe in you. Was there ever a time in that winless streak where you started doubting yourself and your abilities?
No, not really. I never looked within myself and thought, man, do I not have it anymore, or what's wrong with me? Do I not have the desire anymore? You feel like you're a capable driver. I mean, it's tough. You know, I didn't know if I would ever get back with the right group or have the right environment just for, that worked for me. It seems to be where I'm at right now. It seems to be working.
You and Steve Letarte seem to have an amazing energy and chemistry. This appears to be a great match.
Yeah, I think it is. We're way past all the spats and carrying our frustrations overboard and letting things like that get the best of us. My biggest problem in the past has been I would get nervous about a problem and not having a solution for it, and I would lose my cool or get shaken up in practice, or and that would set the tone for the rest of the weekend. I haven't had that problem with Steve. There's never a situation that crops up that throws him for a loop, so he's always even keel, and that really controls me. He makes it fun to work. He makes it fun to come race. I'm ready to practice. I couldn't wait to get here, so that's the way it is every week. I ain't never been like that, even when I first started. I ain't never really been as happy about my job and never enjoyed my job as much as I do now.
You've been so close, 7 runner-up finishes, and everyone said, when's the win going to happen? Now you get the victory. The next question is this guy a championship contender?
If I feel as good at Richmond about the team as I do right now, I think for certain we're a contender, just like it did on Sunday in Michigan. I was sitting there running along with about 70 laps to go, thinking, who's going to come up here and take this away, or who's the strong horse here? And then about 10 or 15 laps later, I thought to myself, maybe we're the strong horse today. So you never know. We're going to work hard, and that could be us in the chase.
One thing is for sure, Junior Nation knows how to celebrate a victory. In fact, the win last week so big, they made T-shirts. You can get them at NASCAR.com or at the souvenir trailers here at the track. Don't worry. Kyle,
I got one
for you.
Thank you
Larry,
very much.
one for you.
I'm going to put mine on eBay.
Surprised they made a T-shirt? I'm surprised they made a T-shirt.
Seriously, though.
Catches me off guard.
This is a big win for that team and the sport.
Well, what I noticed in that interview, and I heard it the other day from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the media center, he uses the word over and over and over, fun. I'm having fun. I'm having fun with this race team. And I think with this schedule, with the grind of this business, that's so important that you have fun with what you're doing. Now, what I would say, I still believe, Kyle, these next 11 races for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and this 88 team, they're important. Yeah, I know they're second in the points. I know they have 12 top 10 finishes, but I just think their run over the next 11 weeks will be so critical how they start that chase.
How they start the chase and the attitude they start the chase with. I think that's what the next 11 races will set. You heard him say he would get so lost in the early part of practice. That set the tone for a weekend. I think these next 11 races, like Larry says, will set the tone for the chase. I'll go back to something when that started, and something all the way back to last week that said more to me than anything else. Dale Jr. said, I know you guys have been waiting a long time for this. I know I have, on the radio when the race was over with. Not a lot of excitement, not a lot of disappointment, not a lot of anything in his voice. Very matter of fact, which shows that he knew it was coming. He knew all he had to do was keep his head down. He never lost sight of that. And I don't think he was overexcited, overjoyed, anything. It was just a matter of fact. That's what I do for a living.
I think what they have to be careful here, though, is this is not one of his better racetracks. See, he has 12 starts here and has never finished in the top 10. He's going to start mid-pack about 19th. If things don't go your way today, just keep having fun. Don't let it zap your confidence and your momentum.
And if Dale Jr. is going to go out and get it done today, he's going to have to be aggressive, because that's a theme we've seen in recent years here in Sonoma.
Oh, we got trouble. Oh, man, some of those guys just barreled in there.
It's all right. We'll get him. What comes around goes around. These guys don't want to have any respect for me. I ain't going to have none for them.
I dumped him because he was blocking, so anybody wants to block all year, that's what I'm going to do.
That's what he felt like it was, and he sowed his oats, and he reaped them.
So a few years ago, we went to double file restarts in NASCAR. Ever since that time, the road courses have kind of taken on a short track feel, Kyle.
Yeah, and they have, because when we had the old restart, you had lead lap cars on one side, lap cars on the other side, or you had the single file out here. And that's where road courses were different. You had that single file. Everybody first, second, third, fourth. Now you got first, second, third, fourth. So that guy in fourth is convinced he can lead this thing when he gets to the top of the hill. So these guys are more aggressive. And on a road course, we've talked about this. All you have to do is open that door that far, and somebody's going to stick a nose in. It's not like short track racing at Martinsville. It's not like Michigan. It's not like any place else. Don't ever open the door, because if you open the door, the guy behind you is going to come through. He's going to bring somebody with him, and that's why you have to be aggressive. You've got to make things happen, because even though there's 11 turns, there's only a few places you can make something happen.
Yeah, at a short track like Bristol or Martinsville, if they get into you and they knock you up out of the groove, 4 or 5 more come with them. You can't get back to the driver. But here at a road course, it's so easy in a hurry. These guys have a really good memory. I can get back to him pretty quick and retaliate, because I don't have to deal with a lot of other drivers maybe getting back to him.
Have you guys noticed Wally Dallenbach smiling a lot this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
You know why? Because he absolutely loves coming to the road course races. Wally, you've been good at it for so long. Of course, you'll be a part of our broadcast call later today. What is the balance of patience and aggression when you come to a place like Sonoma?
Well, it's certainly a fine balance. And as Kyle said, you have to run this racetrack very aggressive. But I think the first part of the race, you just have to take care of your stuff. You have to make sure that you have enough car underneath you for that last part of the race to be aggressive. So I think what you'll see here is you'll see guys just, feeling things out, making the adjustments they need to make, and they need to take care of their equipment. But you have to run this racetrack hard. You have to run it hard, but stay on top of keeping your equipment well for that last run. And then towards the end, all bets are off. You're going to see a lot of aggression.
The last 10 laps always entertaining. Wally, thanks. We'll see you for picks later on here on Countdown to Green, okay?
All right.
All right, we look forward to that. And who did this to us?
Where are we?
We just had got off the wine train.
Where are we? No, be cautious when the producer says in your ear, we got a fun picture coming up. The fans, they're all saying, hey, where's Wally? Sorry, guys. He's upstairs when we continue live from Wine Country. Rowdy's going to be here. No stranger to success when it comes to road course racing. Kyle Busch live next. And we continue with our NASCAR Generation Series. Today we're talking about the art of the apology. That's straight ahead. Plus we hear from the pole sitter. Second week in a row, Marcos Ambrose going to lead him to the green.
Countdown to Green, brought to you by Sprint. Avoid a data dilemma with truly unlimited data. Go to sprint.com/speed. And by Chrysler, imported from Detroit.
Well, welcome back to Countdown to Green, live in Sonoma, California. If you haven't been to Twitter to check out #NASCAR, you are missing out. This page is the destination for the most compelling content you could ever ask for regarding NASCAR on Twitter. News, conversations, pictures. It's all there from the drivers and fans alike. It's easy to sign up so you can stay updated on all the NASCAR action. At the top of the #NASCAR page, there's that big yellow button. Twitter's customized it so that when you sign up, you'll automatically follow those in the NASCAR community. And of course, it doesn't cost a thing. So we thought we would have some fun with twitter.com/#NASCAR and put up a poll question. And our question is, should there be a road course race during the Sprint Cup Chase? And if you want to tweet your answer, you can do so. #RoadYes or #RoadNo. It's something we'll talk about a little later on in the show. And right now, I got to get the opinion of Larry and Kyle. What do you think? 2 road course races on the schedule. Should there be one in the Chase?
Personally, I would like to see one in the Chase, but the road course races are such a wild card. They can really screw things up. And I think right now, with 15, 16 races in, we've got 10 races. We talk about being taken out late in a race, the aggressive style that you have to drive here. I know you have to be aggressive in the Chase, but this is a little bit different. And I would like to see one, but I'm not so sure in the overall picture of the Chase that it's the proper thing.
Yeah, I like the fact that we have 2. I don't think we need less. I don't think we need more. I like the fact that they could make a huge difference maybe in an impact on who gets in the Chase. I could live with one being in it or not being in it. I like the fact that our Chase is made up of the majority of the type of racetracks that we run race 1 through 26.
Crew Chief, you know, pit road's going to be a busy place today. Let's check in with the guys who will be following the action there for us today. Chris Neville leads us off. Good afternoon, Chris.
Hey, Adam. I've got this first section of pit lane down here with Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, and the guys who are leading this championship, Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And for those two, this track has been flat out challenging. Neither driver has won. Neither driver has finished in the top 5. And as rough and tough as this race can get, those two teams are saying if they can just come out of here with a top 15 finish, that would be a successful day. A little bit further down pit lane, my friend Matt Yoakum.
Chris, road course success absolutely starts with pole day. Jimmy Johnson, he starts third today in a race car that he called fast, but also a little bit uncomfortable. Now, that also equated to a great stall here on pit road, the third best stall on this challenging and unique pit lane. Now, Jimmy has an empty stall and exit. It's so big, you can park not one, but two 18-wheelers in. Jimmy, as he rounds the media center building, he can't even see his teammate, Jeff Gordon, who will be covered today by my teammate, Marty Snyder. Marty?
Indeed, I'll be talking about Jeff Gordon, Matt, Juan Pablo Montoya, Marcos Ambrose, all three with an excellent shot to win the race. And you're right, Gordon has the other end of that big gap. He has an easy entry and an easy exit on pit road all day long, one of the most coveted stalls on pit road. I talked to Alan Gustafson moments ago. The biggest question is how many times will they be on pit road today? 2 times, 3 times? He told me even now, I don't even really know how many times we're going to come to pit road this afternoon. Strategy could be all over the map. But Gordon Nation wants to know, is Jeff Gordon going to be a contender to win the race? Well, coming up in a moment, we'll talk to Jeff Gordon and see what he thinks about his chances to win in Sonoma this afternoon. Now let's head up to the front end of pit road and Ralph Shaheen. Ralph.
Marty, I got the pits all the way down near turn 1 from Kyle Busch down here to Martin Truex. And one of the guys I'm going to be talking about is Robbie Gordon. Now, we haven't seen Robbie since Bristol back in the spring, but he's been busy racing. He won 3 off-road races, and he even announced the formation of the Robbie Gordon Stadium Super Truck Series. He's been a busy guy. He had to take it easy just to get into today's race, but he told me, I am now in the show. I can be as aggressive as I want to be, and that's the strategy he plans on using here today, Adam. He's won 2 road courses, including here in 2003, and he plans on rooting and gouging his way to the front.
Thank you, Ralph. Another one of the drivers in Ralph's area on pit road today. Driver 18, Kyle Busch. He knows what it's like to win on a road course. In fact, back in 2008, Kyle won here at Sonoma and went on to complete the sweep, winning at Watkins Glen in August of that year. He's already gone to victory lane once in 2012, that win coming at Richmond. In fact, you look at the numbers, 7 top 10 finishes. He enters today 12th in points, and now we say hello to the driver of the M&M's Toyota Camry,
Okay.
Kyle Busch. Kyle,
Right.
thanks for being with us
Yeah, no
on
problem.
Countdown to Green. I got to know, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of guy? Because you had that amazing run in May. You won at Richmond, several top 5s, and now the engine woes. What's the mindset of the team right now?
Well, I think right now, we just want to be consistent, and we feel like we've had cars capable of doing that and running well. We just haven't been able to get the finishes we were hoping for. So we just got to keep working at what we've got right now, and obviously what we've been dealt is over and done with. All we can do is try to rebound the best we can and get going. And we've got a lot of great tracks coming up for us that we really love. Sonoma here being one of them. Kentucky we won last year. Daytona being a place that we know how to run well at. So there's a few places that we like going to. We just have to really settle in and try to get some solid finishes, though.
Kyle, Adam mentioned 2008 where you won both road course races, and even add in the fact you also won the Nationwide Series road course race at Mexico. Yeah. But I was reading your quotes earlier this week, and you said when you first came to Sprint Cup, even though you ran the Legends cars on road courses, you were lost at sea. But you paid a lot of attention to one of your teammates over there at Hendrick Motorsports at that point.
I did. I had a lot of time that I could spend with Jeff Gordon and learning from him and some of the things he was doing. And Jimmy was trying to get better at that time, too. So, with what Jimmy had going on and what I had going on, we were both trying to get the same learning curve done as quick as we could. For me, but just being able to learn and watch the tape and see the things and look at data whenever I was able to go test with Jeff and read some of that it just kind of helped me bring myself up to speed a little bit faster. Still, one of the most tricky things we do is turn right on any given Sunday twice a year.
A simple question with, I'm sure, a complicated answer. You've won out here. What does it take from a driver's perspective to win a race at this racetrack?
I felt like our car was pretty decent that year. It wasn't exceptional by any means, but pit strategy just fell our way. Both times we came down pit road, the following lap or two, the caution came out, and we just kept ourselves up front. We had track position all day. I remember Tony Stewart was running behind me much of the day. I think he got spun out by somebody there towards the end. But all in all, you know, we were able to distance ourselves on the restarts by a few car lengths, and then we could just kind of ride out there. And once you get out there, you start getting your rhythm. You're not following anybody. You're not looking at the back bumper of someone. You can pick your marks and your lines and everything. And so it's a lot easier to be able to do all that than it is to have to drive through cars.
Kyle Busch loves to race. In fact, if there was enough time and you could get a little race with those Legends cars right now and we could do it before the race, you probably would jump in it and race.
If I didn't have to get up so early on Friday morning, I would have done it Friday morning.
You had to get up early to beat the traffic here. 2012, Kyle Busch is not racing as much. You're still busy, but it seems like the focus is on the Cup. Is that going to make you and your race team better prepared for this chase this year?
I'd like to think so. You know, there was a couple times last year or years prior where you might get a little wore out or a little tired through the summer months or what have you, but this year's been kind of quiet. I mean, the biggest thing I got going on, I guess, right now is, you know, moving. I've been packing up the house and everything like that. Samantha and I are moving, so that's probably been the most stressful thing going on. But besides that, the racing stuff's been going good, barring a few issues. But Kyle Busch Motorsports has really been getting going better. Kurt ran a strong race yesterday. Unfortunately had some troubles, but was able to rebound really well. Proud of him. And the truck stuff, you know, we're getting ourselves going there a little bit. Crew chief and driver gelling a little bit better there will obviously get you results.
You know, when it comes to Sonoma, we know we can see things on track that we don't normally see. That goes for off track, too. I like the tweet you sent today. The sheep running all over the place.
Yeah.
Huh?
I was like, this is something you don't see everywhere. You know, what's going on here? I thought we were going to have a sheep race or something like that. You know, we talk about it in chapel service this morning that all of us are sheep and how kind of funny it is. You follow one and then they'll all follow each other, and whether they follow each other off a cliff, you never know.
Well, hey, thanks for being with us.
Yes.
Good luck in the race today, and maybe we'll see you afterwards in Victory Lane, huh?
No problem. We hope so, man. We'd love to get back on track here, and no better place than right here in Sonoma.
Kyle starting 7th in today's race. Starting right in front of him, Martin Truex Jr. We're going to feature them today on Inside Tracks. Here's a look in on their pre-race meeting this morning.
We got a pretty good pit stall today. Pit stall 1. Don't ask me how he qualified 5th and get that, but we did, so we'll take it. Speeding in, so he'll be coming in pretty hot. Once he gets past the start-finish line, he'll be hot to you guys, and then hard out. Be ready. Just if we get any damage at all, just clear the fenders and send him on his way. Be 4 tires of fuel every time. Be waiting on fuel, especially on that last stop. We may not wait for it before that. Just listen to me for whether you're waiting or not. But the last stop, you'll definitely be packing it as full as you can get it. Try to pit as early as we can there towards the end, and try to keep fresh tires on it all day long.
Did you pick him today?
And now I know why Larry wants to get down to the Toyota Torque Car. Kristen and Kim have a full buffet waiting for our crew chief down there.
Get through countdown to the green, I may go have a little bite to eat.
Yeah, no wine till after the race, all right? Countdown to green, here to get you ready for the Toyota Save Mart 350. This afternoon, NASCAR on TNT, live in Sonoma, California. Throughout its history, NASCAR has been known for its close contact, door-to-door, beating and banging style of racing. But what happens when the drivers take that too far? How do they keep the peace among themselves? This week, we explore the art of the apology.
Come on, people now. Smile together, everybody get together. Try to love one another right now.
We know that there are mistakes that are made. Sometimes you get into somebody you may not mean to. Maybe it is intentional.
And Earnhardt loses it, goes on the grass, comes back, and Elliott goes inside. And Earnhardt still got the lead. Incredible.
I was clearly under him, and I was going on. I clearly had the quickest car. You know, he was trying to cut me off every way he could.
He had me sideways going off for 4-2 over there, and then turned me through the tri-oval. And I slipped him up high just to let him know I was mad. And, I didn't try to wreck, didn't run him in the wall or nothing. Then he tried to wreck me after the caution there. I think he's a little upset.
How hard is it to go find a driver that you know you roughed up and say, I'm sorry?
Did you ever apologize?
I wanted to Dale, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They drive into the turn. They're hitting the wall.
I look at the King and Bobby and Cale and Donnie and all them and racing. I never remember them apologizing for anything. Why should I apologize to you? My job is to beat you. My job is to go out there and win this race. And I'm sorry that I got into you, but I'm not sorry enough to pick up the phone and call you. Now, we only had pay phones back then, and most of them were party lines, let's be honest, too. You know what I mean? You didn't have emails and texts and all that stuff. But, I mean, it was just a different deal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and you didn't have a camera on every move that you made that day.
And you didn't.
The thing that was most impactful to me, it was probably my rookie year at Martinsville, maybe my sophomore year at Martinsville.
And look at this group right here, Jeff Burton in the 99. I think he has a tire rub because of this beating and banging. They've been beating and banging for the last 5 laps on each other.
Jeff Burton used me up so bad for like 15 laps. Ran all over the side of me, just used me up to get by. And I was sitting in my truck, changing, and Burton walked past all my crew guys that were, pretty mad at him, walked up in the truck and said, "I'm not here to apologize, I'm here to admit that I ran all over the side of you."
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I'm like, I don't know how to exactly respond, but I respect it.
But you respect it.
So I've tried to adopt that into my deal. I mean, sure, there are times when you make a mistake, and I'll say I'm sorry, but if you're going to go up there and take something from that guy, you should be man enough to go up and talk to him about it afterwards, whatever it is.
The first race that I ran in that I had a competitive car was at Columbia, South Carolina, half-mile dirt track. Junior Johnson was driving the car, and that's the one I eventually bought. Junior didn't want that car to run at Columbia that night because there was a race that was on a Saturday night, and there was a race on Sunday at North Wilkesboro. And he wanted to save the car for his home track at North Wilkesboro. And so Junior didn't show up. And they suspected that he might not come. And so they called me and asked if I'd ride along down there with them. It's being maintained in Newton, North Carolina, where I live. I said, yeah, I'll go along. I might get to drive that car. And sure enough, I did. Anyway, I got used to the car and was running up near the front and caught your grandfather who was running in second place. And I run behind him for about 40 or 50 laps and tried everywhere in the world. He cut me off and tried every way to get by him legally. And finally, I just bumped him out of the way and went on and passed him and ran second in the race. And that was back when you went up to a little pay window, a little wooden building out there somewhere, and got your money and was standing in line to get paid. And he said, "Boy," said, "you driving that 11 car?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You're going to have to learn some manners on the racetrack." He said, "You don't just run all over people to get by them." I said, "Sir, I tried to pass you the best I could without bumping you, but," I said, "you kept cutting me off. I couldn't do any better." He said, "Well, you just got to learn." Went to North Wilkesboro the next day. I was walking up through the pits, and of course he had a car there for your dad and one for himself, and he came up and said, "Don't you have a car to drive today?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Lord, if I'd known that, I'd have brought you a car."
and that is a Lee Petty story. He could stand there and chew you 1 minute, walk off, but it was over with. For him,
No grudges.
No grudges at all. It was over with, and he moved on to the next
I
thing.
think we're missing aspects to that in today's world because we're also sheltered in a lot of ways. I mean, you get out of the car and people are around, you're whisked away to whatever it is, and the guys can't really sort it out. So it's easy when you assume you don't have to face whoever it is face to face. You wrecked me, watch this under caution. I'm going to get you back.
Payback! Yeah, now we're talking.
It's one thing when you all weigh the same and you're strapped into a race car. You find a guy at the pay window. I mean, that's different. Who's who then?
And see, that's one thing I know even today in the broadcast booth that I probably go over the top of calling drivers out about is getting another driver back with the race car. I mean, whether it was Dale Jarrett, Davey Allison, Ernie Irvin, Dale Earnhardt, you know, if you want to get out of that car and go after them after the race, we'll stand there right behind you and right with you. But please, leave our race car out of this personal vendetta. In fact, I told Ernie Irvin one time, I think 93 or 4, I said, our fab shop cannot stand for you to get anybody else back. You're killing us.
When you won all those races that in, 85, 86, right? How many cars do you have?
We only had a handful of cars. I mean, and
that's
I
all you
fixed
had.
them.
That's
I couldn't afford to tear my stuff up because I fixed it.
But you get to this level, you don't have to anymore, and it's different.
One thing I learned for sure in our NASCAR Generations pieces, drivers don't like to say, "I'm sorry." Anybody going to apologize here today, do you think?
Well, we can go through the first 4 months of our season and no one even raised their voice, but there's just something about this road course race. I think it tends to make them go back and open up the folder of boys have at it. Sometimes the apology tends to be a little sarcastic, especially when it comes from Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and this is why this is the Sprint Cup Series, because when this race is over with, they're going to be texting and tweeting and calling people all for free on their Sprint phone and apologizing. There'll be a lot of apologies when this is over with.
I'm going to go to the booth. Put the stopwatch on me.
All right.
It's a long haul
It's a
from
long
here.
way.
We're gonna be
Before I
watching.
do that, let's check out some photos via hashtag NASCAR. Marcos Ambrose on the pole today, spending some time with the children from the Children's Miracle Network. Good
That's
to
cool.
see.
If he can win the race, it's $1 million to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
No traffic problems for Jimmy Johnson, old 5-time helicoptering in today.
Yeah, I guess when you fly in, there are no problems. That's why you came in this morning, Larry.
Yeah, you get to watch the track.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys did it old school. Father, son, ready to watch some racing in Sonoma, California. We are glad you're here, and we're also glad to have the King with us, spending some time with the military. We wish everybody the best of luck this afternoon on track, and if you want to be a part of the NASCAR conversation, you can do it at hashtag NASCAR.
Well, Sonoma has probably become our roughest race. For whatever reason, it's kind of like our toughest short track race, it seems like.
I think ever since double file restarts came about, the aggression in Sonoma has just gone up a lot.
Sonoma is physically demanding, but at the same time, it's mentally demanding because you got so many more corners and you can't afford to make mistakes.
Every corner you go around could be a corner you get dumped by somebody.
I mean, there's only a couple passing opportunities around that entire racetrack.
You know, you'll be fast in a car maybe all the way up through the S's, but you don't get off that last corner right, set yourself up for 11 down there, and you can't get the pass done, so you have to wait all the way back around the racetrack to try again.
And then when somebody blocks you time after time in one of those few areas, your blood pressure just picks up quick.
There's Larry Mack's house nestled in the hillside outside the S's at this 1.99-mile road course at Sonoma. Let's come inside, though, and let's open up Larry Mack's toolbox, and let's take a look at some of these corners that those drivers were just talking about. To me, the first corner I want to look at is turn 2. You heard Kyle Busch talking about double file restarts, and this is where it gets exciting because it's a hard right-hander and it's very narrow, and it's so important to get a position that a driver hugs the inside of that turn 2. Now, the next corner we want to take a look at is right here at the end of the straightaway. It's a good place to set up a pass. It's what we call turn 7, and right in here, it's a hard right-hander, heavy braking. The driver is all the way down to first gear, and it never fails late in the race. We'll see drivers almost in synchronized spinning. Now, to me, the most exciting corner, Clint Boyer talked about it, is turn 11. It's the slowest corner of the racetrack, down to 35 miles per hour, down to first gear, heavy braking, and you have to get that inside position to turn 11, and you'll complete the pass headed back to the start-finish line. Now, Ralph Shaheen is with the driver that's won here 5 times, and he was the fastest in all 3 practice sessions.
Yeah, that would be Jeff Gordon, who's talking things over with Marcos Ambrose. I think maybe getting ready to figure out how they're going to handle turn 2 at the top of the hill. Jeff, you've won here 5 times, 3 in a row in the past. You need to build some momentum. This is a great place for you to do that. How do you make your own momentum here today?
I love this racetrack, and we'll always love coming here, but I'll be honest, the last several years, we haven't really had that car that has won us races here in the past. And I didn't necessarily expect to have it this weekend, but boy, ever since we've unloaded, we've been really fast. The car's been awesome, and I couldn't be happier with our Drive In Hunger Chevrolet. So, we know that just having a fast race car doesn't guarantee the win, so we got to go out and we got to execute. We got to, I got to do my job keeping that car on the track, really giving good feedback, because we don't know what's going to happen over the long run. We know our car's fast in the short runs. And then that all-important pit strategy. So we called the pit strategy right. Last year finished second with a car that wasn't really a second-place car. Let's hopefully this year we can call it right with a car that is capable of winning.
Larry, you would think a guy that owns his own award-winning winery should be good in the wine country.
And I got a feeling the way we've watched him run this weekend, he's going to be awfully strong, qualified on the outside of the front row. We are here in our TNT Torque area presented by Toyota. I'm with our Kyle Petty. And Kyle, you think about this 110-lap race. We're going to hear the word strategy 150 times. The decision will be made, 2 stops or 3 stops. But if we go with 2 stops, these tires, these rear tires, a little different tire here. You're going to really have to take care of these, especially trying to get that forward bite acceleration off the corner.
Yeah, from a driver's perspective, I'm going to have to take care of them, but you're going to have to make that call. Am I going 2 stops? Am I going 3 stops? And we just heard Jeff say they had a strategy, and they finished second with maybe not a second-place car. It depends on which strategy you guys go on where you end up putting me at the end of the race. All I can do is drive as hard as I can.
And I know talking to you earlier in the week, with this being a 110-lap race, regardless of 2 stops or 3 stops, you like to break it down into thirds.
And from a driver's perspective, I do. I think the first third of the race, you've just got to protect your car. Don't knock the fenders on, don't knock the nose off. Try to stay on the track and stay in position. Middle part of the race, put yourself in position. That's where that first stop or second stop comes in strategy-wise. Third stop, and we heard Junior say it at the very beginning, look in that mirror and make sure somebody else doesn't take you out, because these guys go crazy the last 15 or 20 laps of the race. You can have a second-place car or a fifth-place car and end up 25th. We've seen it here a million times. If you've got a shot to win, you've got to be aggressive. If you don't have a shot to win, protect yourself. Defense.
So I think I'm going to tell you a lot during this race. Dirt is bad. Asphalt is good, but regardless if someone knocks into you, do you think you can keep from going crazy those last 10 or 15 laps?
No, you can't. You can't, because you spent all day long staying on the racetrack, staying out of the bad dirt, staying on the racetrack, and now all of a sudden you're out. You're looking for that retaliation, and somebody's going to get a phone call or a text on Monday and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Doesn't make any difference. You still finished 25th.
All right, we need to take a short break. Now our leader, Adam.
NASCAR all about giving back. No different here at TNT. Wally Dallenbach's Foundation, helping children who've lost a parent or parents. For more information, you can go to WallyDallenbachJr.Foundation.com. And we all know about Kyle Petty in the Victory Junction. For more information there, you can go to victoryjunction.org. Jimmy Johnson has his own foundation, and they had a huge fundraiser earlier this week down in Southern California. A dinner one evening, playing golf the next. How about this? They raised some $650,000. That is awesome. Jimmy Johnson won here a couple of years ago. He starts third today. Let's hear from the 5-time champion. He's with Chris Neville.
That's right, Adam. He won here back in 2010. And, Jimmy, this race has gotten pretty rough. Some say it's because the car's so tough. Others say it's the double file restarts. But that stuff really shouldn't matter. We lost a little bit of racer etiquette out there.
Kind of. I mean, it's a weird environment, you know. If you've been wrong, then you're in a bad mood, and you want to find the guy that wrongs you, or, you know, if somebody else gets in the way, he might take some of that abuse from, you know, an earlier situation. So it's tough to say, but, you know, with closed-body cars, you're going to have the chaos. I've seen it in a variety of different road course series races, and it happens here, you know. And we've been on a lot of fast tracks lately, and I'm sure there's some guys, you know, come into this race with a kind of a score to settle, and there's perfect opportunity. So it's not just one thing. I think there's probably 6 or 7 things that come together, and it happens for sure.
Well, talk about tough guys. Marty Snyder's found one.
Certainly tough on the road courses, and Juan Pablo and I spent some time this morning talking about strategy. So at the end of the day, do you think it's a 2-stop majority race or a 3-stop majority race?
I think majority is going to be 3 stops. I'm sure there's going to be some guys trying 2 stops. I think tire degradation is too high to do 2 stops, but we'll see. You know, I think the cautions, to get a 2-stop to work, you got to get the cautions at the right time.
You and I were talking about the race team and how it's improved. You said the results may not show, but how is the team better this year than it was last year?
I'll tell you the truth, everybody in the Target team is pretty amazing right now. We changed, like everybody's new here, and in the one car there were a lot of changes, and back in the shop there were a lot of changes. And you can see the changes, like how people are working, and you know how much progress we made. It's kind of hard to go and put all these people together and hope you're going to run good overnight, but I think good things are coming for us that is good.
You told me I normally don't qualify well at Sonoma, so starting 12th, that's like a top 5 start for me here, Matt.
Marty, starting outside the top 20 is almost an insurmountable challenge for most drivers unless you're 7-time road course winner Tony Stewart. Last year, Smoke, you started 20th, you led laps. Today, 24th. So what is your biggest concern trying to get to the front?
Just worrying about getting caught up in an accident early in this thing. It's real easy to get an accordion effect going into the corners. So we're just going to try to not get a big chunk at one time. Just try to hopefully get about 5 or 6 laps into this thing, let everybody start getting sorted out, and then just pick them off one at a time.
Almost like the Prelude without dirt. The fun factor here.
This place is really fun. It's cool to come out here. The area is awesome. The people are awesome out here, and it's a great racetrack to run. It's just, it can be feast or famine. I mean, if we can get some long green flag runs, it makes it a lot of fun because you can race guys one-on-one, but on restarts it is really, really hairy here.
Chasing that 8th road course win, he starts today 8th in the championship standings. Adam?
And we look now at the Sprint Cup Championship standings, Matt, after 15 races in 2012. And look at that far right column. Wins on road courses. At the top, Matt Kenseth through Leachdale Jr. by 4 points. Neither driver a win on a road course. Same for Greg Biffle, who is 17 out. But things get really interesting when you look at 11 through 20th. How about back in 17? Marcos Ambrose has a win on a road course. So does Montoya and Gordon. Yes, the wild card picture could take another big step here today in Sonoma. Time now for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series recap, brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Final lap yesterday at Road America. That's Jacques Villeneuve punting Danica Patrick into the gravel pit. She was running inside the top 5. She finished 12th. It's Nelson Piquet Jr. who started on the pole and gets his first career win on Saturday afternoon in Wisconsin. Another road course today, this time for the Sprint Cup Series. First, we look at yesterday's results. There you see Nelson Piquet Jr. at the top of the board. Keep up with all your favorite drivers on NASCARNationwideSeries.com. On the pole this afternoon, that man, Marcos Ambrose, for the second straight week. He's going to try and close the deal. We'll visit with him next on Countdown to Green.
Countdown to Green, brought to you by Sprint. Avoid a data dilemma with truly unlimited data. Go to sprint.com/speed. And by Chrysler, imported from Detroit.
Casey Kane has won here, and 1 season ago it was Kurt Busch that went to victory lane. On the pole this afternoon for the second consecutive week, the Australian Marcos Ambrose. How does he like his chances? Let's hear from him. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Marcos Ambrose is back here at Sonoma Racetrack, Marcos, that quite possibly owes you not one, but a couple. How do you get it done here today?
Well, it's just, you know, it's going to be a long day. These cars are sliding around a lot here this year. The speeds drop a lot on the long fuel run. So we're just going to see what we got and just try and be smart out there. Jeff Gordon's got a great car, and I'm not sure if I can hold him back here at the start. We're going to try, and then we'll just get in the race pace and see what happens.
There's some very special youngsters you're racing for today. Tell me about the children who are on the side of your car.
Yeah, we do. On behalf of Stanley A's Hardware and the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, if we win the race today, we're going to donate $1 million to the sick kids and help these hospitals treat them. So we're racing for a lot of good reasons today, and we've got 4 kids in the pit box, associate crew members here cheering us on today from the hospital. We wish them the best, and hopefully we can win for them.
A lot of special reasons why Marcos Ambrose would like to win today.
All right, thank you, Ralph. Wally Dahlin back with us now, and time now to make picks. What do you think today?
I think last week Earnhardt Jr. got the monkey off his back. This week, Jeff Gordon's going to put it in victory lane.
Yeah, he hasn't won this year. The only Hendrick driver not to visit victory lane in 2012. Larry and Kyle, you guys also have selections. Who you going with on the road course at Sonoma?
The man paid us a visit. Wow thing, you make my heart sing. Kyle Busch.
All right, and I think things come in 3. And for Richard Petty Motorsports, it's a pole at Charlotte, it's a pole last week, and it's the win here, the pole and the win here. Okay, so when you look at it, I'm going with Marcos Ambrose.
So we got Ambrose, Gordon, and Kyle Busch.
Kyle's struggling with counting today.
I know, I lost my fingers there, man. Sorry.
He better get on his running shoes because, Kyle, you got to get up here in the booth with us, all right? We'll see you in a moment. That's going to do it for Countdown to Green. Tip your glass. We're ready to go racing in Northern California. Thanks for being with us. We got pre-race ceremonies next. It's NASCAR on TNT. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series rolling through wine country. It is the first road course race of the year. And when it comes to Sonoma, California, there are a handful of drivers that would like to get a victory and maybe put themselves in the chase. That quest begins in moments. For a driver like Marcus Ambrose is on the pole. First, we go trackside for pre-race ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Travis Air Force Base Honor Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Sonoma Track Minister Tim Boovey offers today's invocation.
Gracious God, we give thanks for this beautiful day here at the Raceway in Sonoma. We ask your blessing on all those present today, from our volunteers to our race teams and all of our fans. Please keep our drivers safe as they compete for a spot on the winner's circle. Help us all to realize that winning in life goes not to the swiftest, the bravest, or most skilled, but to everyone who displays grace to others, just as you do for us all. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem from the University of California, the Straw Hat Band.
A great crowd on hand. We're ready to watch the best in NASCAR go after it on the road course in Sonoma, California. We fire the engines next on TNT.
I think Sonoma's ended up being one of the most aggressive, crazy races that we have.
For some reason, it seems like bumper cars there.
Cautions typically breed cautions, but especially on a road course, especially with double file restarts, it just seems to be out of control there.
It's just the starts and restarts that seem to cause the majority of the problems.
There's a green-white checkered at the end of those races. There's a lot of dive bombing and selfish acts going on in a big way.
One word to describe racing at Sonoma: aggression. Another, parity. The reason why: the last 7 races here, won by 7 different drivers. Mart 350 at Sonoma. Kurt Busch a winner at Infineon. Incredible. Another buzzword at Sonoma: strategy. For more, we go to our crew chief, Larry McReynolds. Good afternoon, Larry.
Yeah, Adam, the minute this green flag drops on this 110-lap race, we'll be trying to predict the different strategies. But for the first time at Sonoma in 2012, we have electronic fuel injection. We don't have the carburetor. That changes the way these guys tune these engines. And, Adam, I think that's going to dictate a lot about whether they can make it on 2 stops or 3 stops.
Get your calculator ready, Larry. I know all the crew chiefs up and down pit road are doing the same, because you never know what's going to unfold when you come to a place like Sonoma. And very likely, everybody going to be chasing the 9 and the 24. Marcos Ambrose and Jeff Gordon on the front row. Now we go trackside for the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, Please welcome Tony La Russa and Toyota's hometown hero winner, Toby Appleton.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Time to put them on track and make it happen. If you want to join the conversation in Sonoma, you can do so. It's twitter.com/#NASCAR. The green flag is next.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Toyota Save Mart 350. I'm Ed Laukus, Vice President of Marketing, Communication, and Motorsports for Toyota. On behalf of Toyota and our Northern California dealers, we're proud to present racing action once again from beautiful Sonoma. Pacing the race today is the Toyota Camry, the #1 selling car in America for the last 10 years and 14 of the last 15. These Camrys have been built with pride in our Georgetown, Kentucky facility for the last 25 years. On behalf of the entire Toyota family, we hope that you enjoy the race.
As the Sprint Cup Series has motored through the speedways and short tracks, Hendrick Motorsports teammates Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr. have picked up serious momentum in their rise up the standings.
Jimmy Johnson comes off turn 4 looking for the checkered flag. The streak is over. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to victory lane in Michigan.
But now they face a different challenge. Inertia. The resistance to changing direction once an object is set in motion. And here in Sonoma, the season is headed for a turn. It will be a test for contenders to see who can adapt to the shift and who will succumb to the resistant force. But it is also an opportunity for a couple of road course masters to get back in the chase with a win. Today, Sonoma calls for a new direction.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series ready to roll for the 16th time in 2012. NASCAR on TNT, proud to bring you coverage of the Toyota Save Mart 350. This afternoon, we are in Sonoma, California. It is the first road race of the year, and, well, we got that great Northern California weather going on. Temperature right now, 67 degrees. There is a slight breeze. No chance of rain today. Complete sunny skies. Hello and welcome again, everybody. Good to have you with us. With Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander. And you know what I love about you two? When you make picks for a race, you go right out on a limb. You like Jeff
Yes.
Gordon, who starts in the front row. Kyle says the pole sitter, Marcos Ambrose. They are the favorites here today. And if one of them wins, Wally, it's going to go a long way in helping them make the chase in the fall.
Well, listen, Gordon's got to start winning races if he's going to be even in the chase. And I think this is a great opportunity for him. He loves this racetrack. He's won here. Here's a guy who can win both road courses and win on any oval we go to. So I think he's got to step it up right now. I mean, he could get into the points, but he needs to start putting wins in the column. And I think this is his best shot today to get that monkey off his back and start moving forward.
And Kyle, you and I talked on Countdown to Green earlier. Things have changed here in the last few years, really since we went to double file restarts.
Yeah, double file restarts make you be more aggressive. When you start looking at it, you know, used to it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody lined up. Now it's too wide. And that guy in fourth place believes he can get to the top of the hill. And you can be aggressive, overly aggressive on these restarts and get people in trouble. It works like this. I'm third in line. Wally's second in line. Adam is leading the race. I could drive off into turn 1. Boom. I'm aggressive. Now what happens? Adam comes back and wrecks Wally. I'm leading now. I'm leading now. That's the way aggression works.
It's going to be fun today. Up here and especially on the track behind us. And the field is rolled off. So which driver will be the fastest out of this week's top qualifiers? Your choices, the top 4 on the grid: Ambrose, Gordon, Johnson, and Biffle. Text FAST to 34763 or go to attfastestdriver.com to play. You could win 4G's $4,000 just by playing along. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. And now we look at today's starting lineup. Qualifying held here in Sonoma on Friday afternoon. We've already told you the front row, guys that are very good when it comes to road course racing. Jeff Gordon, the all-time leader. He's won 5 times here at Sonoma. Row 2, Jimmy Johnson, the man who got the victory here a couple of years ago. And Greg Biffle, who's been fast all weekend looking for his first road course win. Best road course start for teammates on row 3. Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer alongside. Then in row 4, you got Kyle Busch, who swept the road course events back in 2008, and Kurt Busch, his brother, who won this race 1 season ago. Wrapping up the top 10, championship leader Matt Kenseth in the 9th spot alongside Ryan Newman, who's won on virtually every kind of racetrack but never on a road course. Carl Edwards and Juan Pablo Montoya on row 6. Montoya won this race back in 2007. Right behind them, Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, BK in the top 10 at both road course races in 2011. Casey Kane won here in 2009. He starts 15th alongside Denny Hamlin, looking to bounce back from his worst finish of the year a week ago at Michigan. A.J. Allmendinger, quick in practice. He starts in the 17th position alongside 2000 champ Bobby Labonte. Row 10, well, there he is, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Huge win last week, but he's never finished inside the top 10 at Sonoma. Row 11, we welcome back Brian Vickers in the 55 car. It's his 3rd start of 2012. He was in the top 5 earlier this season at Bristol. We heard from him a moment ago on Countdown to Green. A 7-time road course winner, twice here at Sonoma. Tony Stewart starting in the 24th position. It'll be fun to watch him come through the field. And also Jamie McMurray and Kevin Harvick. Pretty good when it comes to road course racing. They start 25th and 26th today. As you look at the rest of the starting field, there's David Gillen in row 14. He has to drop to the rear because he missed the drivers' meeting earlier today. And Stephen Light made an engine change. He, too, will start at the tail of the field. One of the themes in 2012, the strength of Michael Waltrip Racing. They got a couple of good ones starting up front today, Wally.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a hold of Martin Truex. Hey, Martin, this is Wally up in the booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha, Wally.
All right, man. You had a good run at Watkins Glen last year. You finished 4th. I believe you won the nationwide race in Mexico City. So you know how to get around a road course. How's your horse today?
I think Napa Toyota's pretty good, to be honest, Wally. It's we've had some good runs here. This place has been kind of tough on us as far as finishes, but guys have done a good job again. Brought me an awesome race car, and it's going to be a tough race. The tires are really going off of these things, and they get real loose after 5 or 6 laps. So just have to see what today brings, but feel good about the car and good about our chances today.
That really seems like the thing here these days, Martin. You really got to take care of those rear tires. But it's tough to do because you've got to be aggressive on this racetrack or you get past. How do you find that balance?
It's definitely difficult. I guess I hadn't quite found it yet, so I'll be looking forward to today. You got to be aggressive, but you got to save a little bit for the long runs too. So we'll just see what happens. We've got an awesome car, and like I said, I really enjoy racing out here. So the biggest thing is just try to go fast and not get run into.
Good luck today, man. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Y'all have fun too.
Thank you, Martin. We will. And joining the party here on TNT, the 4 guys that will work hard all afternoon along the pit lane. Let's get their final thoughts before we put the green flag in the air this afternoon. We start off with Marty Snyder.
Good afternoon, Adam. And here's an interesting stat. When was the last time Jeff Gordon led a lap at Sonoma? How about 2006? He won the race that year, and it's been 6 years since he's led a lap here. Everybody on the pit road and in the garage area thinks that will change early in the race today. Expect to see Jeff Gordon up front. And Wally's exactly right. I just talked to Jeff minutes ago. He said we are in win-only mode. That's our only hope to get in the chase and get into the wild card conversation. So a big day for Jeff Gordon. Can he snap a 26-race winless streak and put himself in chase contention? A lot of people down here think the answer to that is yes, Chris.
Well, Marty, last year, Clint Boyer came to pit lane late for tires and ran the car from 18th up to 4th with about 20 laps to go. I spoke with crew chief Brian Petty earlier to see if that strategy was on the table, and he said, of course it is, but it's all going to be track position dependent. If late in this race, the 15 is outside of the top 10, you'll probably see it come to pit lane. If he's inside the top 10, well, then Clint is just going to have to manage those tires. Ralph?
Chris, I spoke to competition director for Joe Gibbs Racing, Jimmy Maycar, and I said, do you know why you guys had those engine problems over the last couple of weeks? He said, the good news is it wasn't the same part. The bad news is it wasn't the same part, which means they're not really sure if they're going to have that issue again or not. They feel pretty confident they can get through this time, and hopefully they can change that bad luck by having a win here today. Larry Mack, they're going to start 7th.
Ralph, 1 year ago, Kurt Busch won this race, and he only made 2 trips to pit road. But 2 years ago, Jimmy Johnson came to pit road to get the checkered flag first, making 3 pit stops. Now, our Matt Yoakum is with the crew chief that made that strategy.
And when you look at those different strategies, Larry Mack, from the past 2 years, This guy right here made the call for 3 2 years ago. Now, with EFI, the wild card, Chad, and the tremendous tire give up, does that open up or narrow up your window for strategy here today of 2 versus 3?
I think it definitely gives you some options. This has definitely had the largest impact with EFI of any other racetrack that we've gone to. Typically, this is you try to make this a 2-stop race. I think everybody can do that now at this point. But I think if the caution comes out with 15, maybe 20 laps to go, everybody's going to want to try to pit to get some fresh Goodyear rubber on there. The tire fall off is pretty high. Cars aren't handling as well as what the drivers would like, and you want to be able to be aggressive at the end. So I think get some tires on at the end is going to be pretty important.
And one other big option when you start up near the front, that gives you various plans that you can try to put out on the racetrack. They roll off third. Adam?
Thank you very much. Now our Geico race analysis. And here are the numbers. 110 laps, 219 miles. The pit window, 32 to 40 laps. Why is that so wide? Because the varying strategies that we will see here today, the 33 and 38 going to the tail as we go green at Sonoma. So far, so good. Clean up through turn 2, and there's problems for Travis Kvapil left front.
I think it's locked up.
Yeah, and it looks like the whole tire is locked up. I mean, not like the wheel itself is locked up.
Ambrose got a great start. He leads him down off of turn 7. Jimmy Johnson, Montoya to the inside of Ryan Newman as they come through the corner. Matt Kenseth in front of the 39 now. This is one of the great places on the racetrack. They come off the top of the hill and fire down through the S's, Wally.
Well, right here, this right-hander, not this one right here, but this next one they're going through, this right-hander is the most important, I think, corner on the racetrack because it sets you up for 11 to where you can try to make a pass like you see Montoya down there right now. Right, a lot of other guys just doing the same thing. But that is really the key corner on the racetrack.
And earlier in Countdown to Green, we heard a clip with Clint Boyer say, you can run the whole racetrack and miss turn 10, and then you got to wait the whole lap again to set yourself up for the next pass.
Ambrose jumped out to that early lead. He's pulled away from Jeff Gordon. And right now things single file. Here's Brad Keselowski getting out of line, trying to make a move on Carl Edwards. And that would be for a position just outside the top 10. Joey Logano settling in right behind them. He started on the pole here 1 year ago. Travis Kvapil did make his way back to the pit lane as Kurt Busch side by side with Matt Kenseth there for position.
Yeah, and we saw Matt peek to the inside and then think better of it. And I think you'll see that in the first part of the race. Just like we said, you want to keep the nose, you want to keep the fenders on these things. You're not going to be overly aggressive at this time because Matt knows, honestly, they've got a better pit stop than a pit crew than that 51 car. Yeah. He can pass that 51 on pit road and not have to use his equipment up at this time.
Here's a great shot. Front bumper of Juan Pablo Montoya into 11, Wally.
And you're right, Kyle. I mean, 10 laps to go. That's going to be a totally different scenario.
Yes.
But you're right. Everybody's just kind of, like I said, they're getting their stuff, their tires up to the temperatures and pressures, feeling everything out. There's no sense of just being overly aggressive right now. That is a pretty cool shot.
Make the left-hander at turn 1, then up the hill, the right-hander here at turn 2.
Of course I say that. I don't mean Montoya. I mean the rest of the field.
There's an asterisk by every rule, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the 17 is trying to stay off of the 51 of Kurt Busch, and at the same time, Juan doesn't see any of that. He just sees the 17.
Told you Montoya won here back in 2007. He's 10th on track right now. I'll tell you, the Roush guys qualified really good here on Friday, and that's big because Kenseth, Biffle, and Edwards not typical road course ringers, and there goes Logano to the inside of Edwards making a move for position. He'll settle in behind Brad Keselowski, so Logano jumping up to 13th in the running order.
Joey's confidence has just grown and grown and grown. I go back, and we've said it here since Darlington. He's won a couple of nationwide races and won them and race to the win, not just outrun people, race to the win. Then you go back to Pocono, and I think you look at some of this stuff, and I mean, he just drove around Carl Edwards. You know what I mean? And that builds his confidence again today.
And Logano has become a pretty good road racer, and that goes back to something you and I talked about earlier in the weekend, Kyle. When drivers come over to the Sprint Cup Series now, the talent level has gotten higher and higher. They're much more broad when you look at their resume.
And they are. And these guys come from backgrounds that have a little bit more road racing in them than when I came along and to Cup racing. Wally came from a road racing background, but these guys are exposed to so many more types of racetracks.
Yeah, and you know, Adam and I were talking about it earlier. A lot of these guys who would come like a week before a road course race, they go to Bob Bondurant, they get all this, try to cram all this experience in. But now you've got guys running the Grand Am Series, and like you said, they're running karts, and a lot of these guys have a lot more road racing experience than they did 10, 15 years ago.
A.J. Allmendinger in that bright yellow 22 car. That's the machine that won here a year ago with Kurt Busch behind the wheel. He qualified 17th, not the run they were looking for on Friday, but they were very fast in practice yesterday. The double deuce has gone from 17th to 14th in the first 4 laps here this afternoon. And not too far behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there you see him, silver colors this week for the 88. That win last week at Michigan. Dale started this race in the 19th position, scored 22nd right now. That's Regan Smith in the black 78 inside of Jeff Burton as you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. swing through turn 1 and up the hill to turn 2.
Somebody got off there a little bit. Just that does, you know, as you guys watch this from home, we heard a lot in the pre-race from Juan and from a couple of people about tire degradation, about wearing those rear tires out, and they seem to think it's going to be a 3-stop strategy. You watch these guys come off a corner. If they can come off the corner and come straight up off the corner, they're not hurting their tires as much as these guys when you see the rear end step out and these guys are drifting way to the outside. Those guys are going to have tire issues a little bit faster.
There were some cars that you circled on the lineup today and said they got to move forward. 2 of them right here. The 29 of Kevin Harvick. The 1 as you ride on board here with Jamie McMurray. Both started outside the top 20. Another one in that group, Tony Stewart. Harvick and McMurray not really advancing in the early going. Smoke has made up some positions. You see him coming into turn 11 here after starting 24th. The 2-time Sonoma winner now finds himself in the 17th position. David Gilliland, who won the K&N West race here yesterday, double dipping this weekend, has advanced 10 spots after starting at the back. He missed the drivers' meeting earlier today. His career best finish coming here at Sonoma a few years ago. Marcos Ambrose started on the pole. 2nd consecutive week he's done that. And once you put him out front, he's hard to beat on a road course. He's led every lap. We're just getting started in wine country. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Racing in Northern California on this Sunday afternoon. 8 laps complete in this afternoon's Toyota Save Mart 350. 11 drivers broke the all-track record here in qualifying on Friday. And when Ambrose made his qualifying run setting the pole, looked like he was going 35 miles an hour. He's so smooth, Wally. What do you see out of driver 9 here?
Well, you take a look at great driver shot here. And Marco says you watch his hands on the steering wheel. Very smooth. One thing, it's pretty interesting. He runs a smaller steering wheel than some people. Like if you go to the ink car of Montoya later, he's got it looks like the steering wheel's size of a truck tire. But Marcos has got a small box, steering box, so it's probably a little bit quicker. But you can just see he's just doing his thing, real smooth. mean, he knows how he gets around this place awfully good. See him check the mirror every once in a while. Gordon's catching him a little bit.
Yeah, he's hanging right there. It's Jimmy Johnson right behind them, and here's a move for position. That's Martin Truex Jr. in turn 11 to the inside of Greg Biffle. Move Truex up a spot. Biffle started in the 4th position. He's dropped to 6th. The Michael Waltrip teammates Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr. both have gotten around him. What about the Roush Fenway organization today, Larry?
Well, Adam, you mentioned that they all qualified well, and I think they took so much information from Marcus Ambrose, Todd Parrott in that 9, but when I look at them right now, the only one of them that's maintaining where they started is Matt Kenseth in the 17, started 9th. He's running 9th, but Biffle, he's fallen from 4th now to 6th or 7th, and the real driver of the Roush Fenway camp that's fallen like a rock, Carl Edwards, started 11th. In the 99, he's all the way back to 19th now.
And when you look at Carl Edwards' resume, he's really not that bad of a road course racer, but some struggles early today for the man who enters 11th in points. Carl needs a good run to keep his head above water and try to maintain good relation to the top 10 in the standings so he can make his way into the chase this fall. We joked off the top about the 2 of you picking Ambrose and Gordon. Larry picked Kyle Busch, and he's getting aggressive. Started 7th, and he opens the inside door on Greg Biffle for the 6th spot. Larry pointed it out. Greg Biffle started 4th here today. He is now dropped back and is running in the 7th position, and he's got big-time company for Kurt Busch, who's right behind him in the 8th spot. And you know, you look at Kurt Busch, who won this race a year ago. This is a big weekend for them. The road course kind of an equalizer for that team as they try to get a victory, Wally.
I mean, Kurt's very good at this racetrack as well, and putting a lot of pressure on Biffle. I'm trying to figure out what it looks like. Both the 99 and the 16 are you know, just under braking is where they're getting beat the most right now. As you see Kurt Busch pass him under braking.
It's up in turn 7. And now the fast part of the racetrack as they come down the hill toward the S's.
And you talk about the 99 dropping. The 16 has fallen back too. Yeah. Because the 51 and the 17 of Matt Kenseth and Juan have all been right there in that group. So it's not that they really run down the 16. The 16 came back to them.
Ryan Newman here just outside the top 10. He's currently in the 11th position. Here comes another one to go around Greg Biffle. That's his teammate, Matt Kenseth. Started 9th. That's where he was running until now as he slides inside and makes the pass off turn 11. And Montoya hunting behind as well for a spot. Everybody knows, and this is what Clint Boyer pointed out earlier, if you're going to have a chance to make a move, you better do it in turn 11, because if not, you got to wait and set up the whole opportunity again the next time around.
You got another spot up there in turn 7 that you could, you know, also a pretty good passing zone, but 11 is definitely your best spot.
Battle for the race lead. Jeff Gordon able to get around Marcos Ambrose, put the 24 on the point at Sonoma. He must have set that up in turn 7.
Yeah, but I'm color me gone here in that 24 car. The best thing, compared to basketball, if you can make the other team play your game, then you can stay in the game. And I think Marcos, if he could keep Jeff behind him, he could make Jeff play Marcus's game. Run my pace, run my deal. But once Jeff gets out front, Jeff is going to be strong because he has been on him from the time the race started.
There they were off of 4 down to turn 7, Wally.
Yeah, like I said, and he locked his right front up, and that's really opened the door up for Jeff. But that's another good passing zone. We've seen a lot more of that the last couple of years.
And here's another look at it.
Boy, he locked that up a long time. And that's where you start getting into a serious flat spot on a tire when you lock it up for that long a period of time.
Jeff Gordon's got an amazing resume on road courses. 9 wins, 5 of them coming here at Sonoma. He started on the pole 5 times here. These are the first laps he's led at this road course since 2006, and Ambrose has more company.
Yeah, he's going to have to start dialing some brake to the rear on that thing, or he's not going to have a right front left.
That's Jimmy Johnson lined up behind him, and Clint Boyer knocking at the door. I'll tell you, Boyer's been good all weekend, Kyle. You and I pointed that out on Friday.
It's like I didn't even know there were twisty roads in Kansas. I thought everything was straight in Kansas, but somewhere he learned to drive on a twisty road.
The 9 is dropped back to the runner-up position, Marty.
Yeah, he's dropping back, and he just radioed to the crew, it's going away. Todd Parrott said, hang on to it as best you can. The one thing Todd Parrott told me this morning he was worried about, long runs. He said, we intended to do one at the beginning of happy hour yesterday, never really did that, so they were a little worried about how the 9 car would be on old tires. I think we're getting our answer right now.
Jeff Gordon, fastest in all 3 practice sessions this weekend at Sonoma. He doesn't care about practice. He cares about the race. And right now, the 4-time champion on point at Sonoma with 13 laps complete. Race Buddy has 10 camera views and reports from Miss Coors Light and more. There's Martin Truex Jr. going inside of the pole sitter Ambrose. Put Truex in 4th. Ambrose now back to 5th in the running order.
And it's like in that corner, approaching turn 7, Ambrose has locked that left right front so many times. He's just tentative to even get into that corner right now.
Just outside the top 10, the man who is on the move, Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner here. After starting in the 24th position today, Smoke has worked his way to 13th in the running order, Matt.
Positive gains for the 14 car. Began on lap 1, going into turn 11. He passed 4 cars, and as you documented, Adam, he has climbed all the way to 13th. This race, the tone is starting to settle in. Exactly what Tony Stewart told me before the race. He hoped he would see a long green flag run where possibly the first round of pit stops would be under green. That way he could take his time, be patient, and pick them off one by one.
Matt talking about this first cycle of pit stops being under green, depending on your strategy. And in our pre-race analysis, we had the pit window anywhere from 32 to 40 laps. We could be closing on halfway as far as the pits under green are concerned. And here you see Jimmy Johnson. He's looking good early. He jumps around the 15 of Clint Boyer. So you got Hendrick cars running 1-2. Jeff Gordon in the lead. Johnson now up to 2nd.
You might have that wrong.
What did I say?
Johnson now up to 2nd.
Why? Isn't he running second?
Yeah, but he was already running 2nd.
Oh, he didn't get. He just got by him.
Okay.
It's time for Ram. No guts, no glory. The risk reward. You talk about strategy here. 2 stops or 3. When do you make that strategy, and what are you in favor of, Wally?
I don't want to know. I mean, if I'm driving that race car, that's for Larry to figure out. I just want to be able to do what I need to. Just tell me what to do.
Larry, what are you thinking on the pit box, crew chief?
Well, we're 17 laps into this race, and if you indeed have made the commitment to do it on 3 stops, and you want to make sure that you get equal number of laps in each run, that pit window is going to open somewhere around lap 25 or 26. That way you're running about 26 to 28 laps on each run. Now, you may go a little longer in the beginning. That way you have fresher tires for a shorter run at the end. But I think if you're going to do 3 stops, within the next 8 to 10 laps, that pit window will open.
Some of these guys may go to that 3 stop the way their cars are handled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, when do you make that call on? I know everybody's discussed 2 or 3, but when do you make that call?
This ain't no guts, no glory kind of track. Right now, the man getting all the glory, Jeff Gordon. He's the race leader with 17 laps complete. Of 110 laps complete. Change for the runner-up position. The new man trying to run down Gordon would be Clint Boyer. While we were away, he went around Jimmy Johnson for second place on track, and he's pulled away from the 48 car. Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch complete the top 5. Clint Boyer, who's finished 4th here on 3 different occasions, for whatever reason, has just adapted to this racetrack. Strong all weekend and backing it up here on Sunday. And he's another driver, when you talk about needing a victory, he'd like one. He's in the top 10, but he's yet to go to victory lane this season, Chris.
Yeah, he'd definitely like a victory, but one thing Brian Patty was telling me, that both Clint Boyer and Martin Truex Jr. have been getting a lot out of the relationship that they've had this year with Mark Martin. Brian Patty was saying that early on, these young drivers were typically doing what drivers do, complaining about things that they can't get fixed on the race car. But then when Mark was coming into these meetings, Mark was the one who would usually put his foot down and say, hey guys, they can't fix that. You just got to drive it. Let's focus on the things they can fix. He said the last month, these 2 young drivers have really come to life.
Pressure from behind, man. Just focus out front.
And last time around, Clint Boyer 2.3 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon.
And as Kyle said, you want to get off the corner straight. And if you watch that 15 car, that's exactly what he's doing right now. He's getting in the corner really well, but he's driving off the corner, straight off the corner, and he's not abusing those rear tires. And that's going to be big when you get to the end of the race.
While we were in break, A.J. Allmendinger, who had worked his way up to 10th, after starting back in the 17th position, came to pit road, made his stop at lap 19. So we'll continue to follow that 22 car and see what kind of strategy they're on. You're right on board here with Greg Biffle. Great car in practice. Started up in the 4th position, but the man who entered 3rd in the championship now running 14th on track. It's Casey Kane you see in front of him.
Take a look at the foot cam on the 16 car. I think all these guys are left foot braking. I don't know if you know of anybody that's seen what I'm telling these days, but most of these guys are all left braking. You can see, especially when we get down to 11, I'm sure he'll pump that left pedal a little bit just to make sure that there's going to be pedal when he gets down to turn 11. Kind of floated through 10 here. You get hard on the gas and tap that brake a little bit just to make sure the pads are there against the rotor.
And that's just a driver thing, just to tap it. That toe is connected straight to your mind saying, okay, I got pedal, I got pedal.
Because we've all gone there where there wasn't a pedal at one time or another.
Exactly.
And we got to say a thanks to all of the technical people that work on our crew. One, who brought all the equipment from Michigan all the way out here to Sonoma. But number 2, for shots like this, the crew's willing to let us put cameras in their cars, and we got a great bunch of people behind the scenes that give us some unbelievable pictures to tell the story from Sonoma.
And you see how he's working the throttle. He's actually working the throttle pretty easily, going nice and soft on it, which you got to do.
How about Kurt Busch? He was racing yesterday at Road America, didn't practice the car here yesterday. He starts back in the 8th position. Right now he's running 5th, and as you can see, he's all over the back end of Martin Truex Jr.
And, you know, as we said earlier, Kurt won this race last year. A little bit of pit strategy, but he won this race. He is an incredibly talented driver. I mean, we talk about all the things that go on and all his escapades as we see the 56 pit. So now we're in that window that Larry was talking about, 23 to 26, somewhere. That pretty much establishes what their strategy is going to be.
So here comes Martin Truex Jr. Started up in the 5th position, was running in the top 5, and he'll make his first pit stop of the afternoon at lap 23, Ralph.
42.50 in first gear. That's the RPM number they're looking for. They were going to wait till lap 24. They're bringing him a hair earlier than that because they wanted to make sure that they could get to this car and get that rear grip going. That's where he's been struggling. So now they got him down pit lane. You're going to see 4 tires in every single one of these cars today. Nobody's going to take 2. They made an air pressure adjustment, also a chassis adjustment to the left rear of this car. He is away with a good solid stop.
Oh, you pretty much have made your bet.
You have.
And now you guys stick with it.
And Larry could probably speak to this, and we've all, from a crew chief side, once you make that commitment, you have to stay with that commitment. You know, this is not a thing where you can change strategy in the middle of the race. Yeah. You've already pitted, you've lost all that track position, you've already gone that route. You just about have to ride it out from here.
Here you see Juan Pablo Montoya on track. He's running 8th right now, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, he's made some forward progress today, but a very interesting development inside the car for Juan Pablo Montoya. His tachometer is not working. They actually have a reset button for all the gauges. He's hit that several times. Nothing is on the tachometer. It's not registering anything. So I just have to wonder from Wally, the shifting points coming down pit road, all those things. But first, I want to hear from Larry Mack exactly what can a crew chief do to help out with that. They've told him to use his oil pressure gauge, Larry Mack, coming down pit road to see if that'll help him gauge what pit road speed should be.
Yeah, Marty, there couldn't be a worse place for a driver to lose his tack, because not only will he be using it for pit road, he's going to use it to shift by. So what I see here, Montoya now will have to shift pretty much by the seat of his britches. But think about it. A lot of these stops are going to be made under green flag conditions, and you don't want to lose any time on pit road. So now when he looks at his tack, instead of seeing those green lights and those red lights that tells him he's going too fast, now the tack is pretty much going to look like that. What they're going to have to do is he's just going to be very conservative under that 40 miles per hour to make sure he doesn't get busted for speeding on pit road, because you have a penalty for that here at Sonoma. You pretty much can take yourself right out of contention to win this race.
I think Larry's giving drivers a lot more credit than they deserve, because I don't pay attention to the tachometer during the race. You know, you almost go by feel a lot of times. Now, obviously down pit lane, that's really going to hurt those guys. But during the race, I don't think it's as important for a driver to shift by the tack.
No, because you get used to the points on the racetrack that you're shifting. Yeah. You get used to, is it the start-finish line? Wherever it is. We see Clint Boyer has got around the 24 car of Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, you know, Gordon was 2.3 seconds in front of Clint Boyer. Man, the 15 ran him down and got around him with no problem.
And again, what I'm seeing with that 15 car is the way he's driving off the corners right now. His car looks the best out of anybody right now as far as that.
And I think I heard on the radio, long way to go. Everybody be patient. We've only completed 25 of 110 laps this afternoon in Sonoma. In Sonoma, California, the race leader is Clint Boyer. A few laps ago, he got around Jeff Gordon. Driver 24 is now slid back to 3rd in the running order. Jimmy Johnson got around him. Time now for our KFC Fresh Off the Wire. Gordon started on the front row, led 13 laps early, and with those 13 laps led, he has now led 23,000 laps in his Sprint Cup Series career. That's incredible.
It's just like these guys are all getting to a certain point in the car, it just goes away. You know, Ambrose was this lap. And, yes. You know, then Gordon.
For more on what's fresh off the wire, presented by KFC, visit NASCAR.com. So Gordon led some laps early, but now he's fallen to 4th, Marty.
Yeah, Wally pegged it, though. Jeff Gordon said about 5 laps to go, this rear end is going away quick. And he said, just now those rear tires are gone. I have no rear grip at all. It went away so fast, everybody was able to get around him pretty quickly.
Can something like that change your thought process in regard to strategy mid-race?
I don't know about strategy, but I think maybe what Jeff's thinking about this time is next time he gets tires on it, maybe go easier. A little bit longer to try to keep the rear tires on.
And that's where the driver can manage that part of the race, and that part of the race for the crew chief is we talk about drivers managing fuel mileage and stretching an extra lap or whatever. If a driver goes too hard too quick, like Wally says, and burns them off in the first 5 or 6 laps, it really doesn't show up until the last 10 or 15 laps. But you know, somebody like Jeff, who has done this a million times and has won so much and is such a great driver, he can monitor that. We see the 16, these two cars, the 16 has fallen all the way back, a biffle all the way back to where Carl was, and we talked earlier about Carl's struggle.
But in the family, you got the Roush Fenway leader right now is Matt Kenseth, who started 9th and has stayed inside the top 10. He's 6th right now, and a few spots behind him. How about this? Brian Vickers. There you see Kenseth on track. He's in the 6th position, and Brian Vickers, who is making his first start since Martinsville back in April in that 55 car, is driven from 21st to 9th in the running order. The MWR cars have come to play today. There he is right there behind Ambrose, who continues to drop. The pole sitter is 8th. And here comes Carl Edwards for a pit stop, Matt.
And one issue that he had, Adam, was the water temperature had climbed well over 255 degrees. We were talking about cleaning the grill. Also, his bigger issue, though, absolutely like everybody else in the field, he has burned up the right rear tires, or the rear tires, actually. And he said his biggest issue, possibly the right-handers as well. Big air pressure change for the 99.
That was a burnout right there. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Yeah, did you see that little flame up right there where the flames, where the fuel caught on fire as he drove away? And you know, Jeff continues to drop. We're back in 3rd and 4th place here, and Kyle Busch has just made steady progress and just run his laps, and he's right here knocking on the door of the 24 car. See Kyle rotate through the middle of the corner. Jeff gets on the gas right there. Kyle had to wait a minute, and you say, well, he got up off that corner good, but he got up off that corner good because he made the 18 slow down. It just looks like he got up off of it.
Martin Truex Jr. has already made a green flag stop. What can you tell us about their situation, Larry?
Well, what I've been trying to do is watch the scoring monitor. He pitted 7 laps ago at lap 23, which tells me certainly that he and Chad Johnston, his crew chief, they're on a 3-stop strategy. And I've been watching the scoring monitor, and he made a bunch of gains early, but now I'm looking, and it's almost like he's leveled back out with drivers like Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch that are sitting there 2nd, 3rd. So he made a bunch of gains early with the fresh tires, but now it's just kind of leveled out.
Thank you, Larry. We showed you a moment ago. Kyle Busch closing in on Jeff Gordon. He's been able to make the pass for 4th on track. Gordon, after leading 13 laps early, has dropped to 5th in the running order. Tommy Dreese made a green flag pit stop a moment ago. He was penalized by NASCAR, too fast entering. 31 of 110 laps complete at Sonoma. Clint Boyer, your leader, by 3.3 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. And truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. There you see Brian Vickers. He's gone from 21st up inside the top 10 here this afternoon. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app only from Sprint. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. A couple of lead changes here today. And now we're starting to see the cycle of green flag pit stops begin. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Very interesting for Juan Montoya. We'll remind you he has no tachometer, so what they decided to do was base pit road speed off the oil pressure. They got that data from when he was in practice earlier this week. They knew the oil pressure was 20 psi. That's all Montoya has for pit road speed. 4 tires, air pressure, trying to get that car to tighten up, Matt.
And Greg Biffle had to gingerly try to get out of his pit box. He was somewhat blocked in by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. They made a track bar adjustment to try to help give him more forward bite.
So Kenseth and Ambrose also making pit stops here.
If the 42 gets busted, I better be coming in. Because he had guys to go out with.
And I was getting ready to say the same thing. When he popped out there and he saw that 17, he rode right there. That was very smart thinking by Juan to find that car and just try to maintain because he knows he had no tack.
Here comes the race leader, Chris.
Yeah, and I think he's got the strongest car out there today by what I'm seeing. It come off turn 11, but also listening to Clint Boyer on the radio. He is hooting and hollering in there, having a ball. No changes on this car, just 4 tires and fuel. Matt?
And Jimmy Johnson into his pit box. He said his car was really good in the braking zones. Its weakest spot, really, the high-speed corner. Chassis adjustment already completed. Left side's going on. What about his teammate, Marty?
Jeff Gordon said he lost all the drive off, Matt. He said it's all drive off. That's all we need. We need to get back up front. It'll be 4 tires for Jeff Gordon. A little bit slow on the right front. 2 rounds down on the track bar. Ralph?
Kyle Busch is in with the 18, 4 tires and fuel. He also extremely wanted them to take out the spring rubbers in the rear. That's what they did, Chris.
Well, Dale Jr.'s had his hands full for most of this race, saying the car very loose in the high-speed sections of the track, early in the run, loose everywhere late in the run, so they're going to make an air pressure change to the 88.
They made a big change on his race car early in the week last week at Michigan. It kind of came to life. We'll see if the changes they make under these green flag pit stops here will help him pick off a few positions. Right now being scored as the race leader is Kurt Busch. He is yet to make his pit stop. Ryan Newman in front of Ralph.
Chassis adjustment to the right rear, 4 tires of fuel. He's got no rear grip, but he's away.
And these green flag pit stops producing another speeding penalty. Brian Vickers too fast on the exit as Kurt Busch comes down pit road. Chris?
Yeah, Kurt Busch, one of the last cars to get service down here. I spoke with him before the race about missing both practices yesterday because he was racing in Wisconsin. He said the car was so good, it wasn't a big deal. Obviously, that 51 working well today.
We talked here on Friday about how mental this racetrack is. Brian Vickers, not a lot of track time this year, caught speeding on pit road.
And that's got a lot to do with it. You know, you get in that rhythm, you get in that the nuances of what it takes to be a Cup driver and drive Cup races. And there's little things. It's not just about hitting your marks on the racetrack. It's about hitting your marks everywhere. And that's a simple mistake to make. We see a lot of people over the last few weeks make that mistake.
Things have cycled through in our green flag pit stops. We'll reset the running order when we return to Sonoma. TNT tonight. There are many ways out, but only one way to win. Don't miss TNT's all-new competition series, The Great Escape, starting tonight, 10/9 Central, only on TNT. 37 of 110 laps complete here in Sonoma. The new race leader, Martin Truex Jr. He's in front of his teammate, Clint Boyer. But Truex pitted 11 laps earlier. Some of these strategies starting to unfold, Larry.
Well, when I look at the majority of our drivers that started making green flag pit stops like after Carl Edwards did at lap 29, starting with Brad Keselowski, Bobby Labonte at lap 31, it appears to me that these drivers right now, which like Chad Knaus told Matt Yoakum before the green flag, they could change his strategy. I think they all can make it on one more stop, pitting somewhere around lap 70. But Martin Truex Jr. and Chad Johnston in that 56 car, they look like they're committed to the 3-stop strategy. They pitted there on lap 23. Their next stop should be around lap 52 with the final pit stop coming about lap 80. But the good news is they're getting advantage of the fresh tires. But as I pointed out earlier, guys, it just looks like to me it's only an advantage for a few laps.
Yeah, but Larry, you only need it for a few laps. And just so people at home watching, how many cars are on this 3-stop strategy that you followed through the first part of the race? The 56 of Truex was really the only front runner that really made that commitment early on. How many other cars did you write down?
Well, I've got A.J. Allmendinger, who pitted at lap 19, which is way early. That means he's going to have to go a lot further than Martin Truex Jr. The one that's kind of borderline pitting at lap 29 is going to be Carl Edwards in that 99. If they can run somewhere north of 40 laps, they could still do it on 2 stops.
Let's listen in to the strategy being talked in the 56 camp pre-race. It's inside tracks.
They either need to make us 10 laps longer or 10 laps shorter, then it doesn't matter. We'll adjust that based on our mileage. We just want to come as early as we can. I just looked as early as I could, and then I split it up into segments so I keep the freshest tires on it I can.
What are you hearing now down in the 56 pit, Ralph?
You know, Larry, I can confirm what you're talking about. I was in their crew meeting earlier this morning in their hauler, and they did say, Chad said, yes, we are going for 3 stops today. That is our strategy. So 3 is the call for the 56.
Well, and you heard exactly what he said. With making that stop on lap 23, what they need to do now to keep the freshest tires that they can and keep it in even segments is run 29, 29, and 29 laps, which goes back to what I said, pitting somewhere around lap 52 and again around lap 80.
And Larry had mentioned another driver who came in early and made a pit stop, A.J. Allmendinger. He was running third when the cycle of Green flag pit stops was complete. Little damage on the back end there, isn't there?
Yeah, we saw that. We saw Kurt Busch kind of put the bumper to him as you start through that last sweeping right-hander before the fast part through the S's, or at the end of the S's there. Because I think the 22, like Larry said, pitted on lap 19. He's got the oldest tires on the racetrack at this point in time. Kurt is on that 3-stop strategy. So when you look at it, those guys, he was just a lot faster through there. And there's a little bit of pavement.
And there's a little bit. Yeah, there's also time. And you're also passing the car that you used to be in. So there's a little bit of that goes to that, too.
A little bit. You see it right here. He runs in on him, bounces off of him once, then gets on him and stays on him right there and just pushes him out of the way.
And if memory serves me correct, they had a little run-in at Watkins Glen last season on the road course up in New York. Jeff Gordon's just glad he's in front of it and not behind it and getting caught up in this mess. You got to give a call to both drivers, though. I mean, you got Kurt Busch, who started 8th. As we told you earlier, didn't practice the car yesterday, running the Nationwide Series up at Road America. He's right now in the 6th position. And A.J. Allmendinger didn't qualify great, 17th, but some nice strategy, and they put themselves inside the top 10. And that's Josh Wise off course over in turn 10.
Really good job of keeping that thing off the wall and getting that thing back on the racetrack and not in front of anybody or messing anything up.
Here's Joey Logano driving inside of the pole sitter. Marcos Ambrose and Casey Kane there as well. That's the battle for 10th. Logano now 10th, Ambrose 11th.
Marcus's car is just totally goes away after about 10 or 15 laps. And you know, he dropped 6 or 7 positions right there at the first time, then drops it another 5 or 6 on the next set of tires.
Oh, man.
Man, he just missed that corner completely.
He was carrying some speed through there.
Really good job right there.
One of the things we talked about the other day, Kyle, 11 turns, 11 opportunities to make a mistake. This is a tough place for drivers to get around. No issues right now for Truex and Boyer. They've led a bunch of laps, and they're running 1-2 with 41 laps complete. Leader Martin Truex Jr. He's got a 3.8 second advantage over his teammate in second place Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Kurt Busch now make up the top 5. Earlier on Countdown to Green, we were having some fun with twitter.com/#NASCAR. Had a little poll question we threw out there. Should there be a road course race in the 10-race chase? Love to know what you think. You can tweet your answers, #RoadYes or #RoadNo. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, as always, you can join us, twitter.com/#NASCAR. Why are we showing you Kurt Busch? Because he is getting after it right now, Wally.
Yep, he's made some pretty good moves. He passed Jeff Gordon earlier. He's one of the fastest cars on the track. He's got 9 seconds behind the leader, but here's the pass on Gordon. He's just all over him. Sets him up for turn 7. I just think, and Gordon just backed out of it a little bit earlier. He just, like, once you look in the mirror and you see somebody coming that fast and he's all over the back of you, it's going to happen. So
Gordon's won here 5 times. He understands the patience part of this process. 51 looks awfully good on track right now, Chris.
Yeah, Adam, and I talked to Kurt earlier, and he said, come into this smaller organization. He's obviously bringing a wealth of knowledge, and he said one of the toughest things we've been doing this year is as we work through a testing or a practice plan, maybe trying to try 5 different things, and when we get to the end of that, maybe it was the second thing that worked best. Trying to go back to that second thing just hasn't worked well. So this weekend he said, I'm going to try something different. On Friday, he found a setup that he liked, and he said, hey guys, that's what we're sticking with. Do not touch the car. When he went to Wisconsin, he said, the only thing you guys can do is wipe the car off. I want it just nice and clean and exactly where I left it on Friday when I get back.
Kurt Busch hasn't smelled the front in a while. Last top 5 for him when he won at Dover last September. And it's been a while for Jeff Gordon as well, Marty.
Yeah, for Jeff Gordon, they had high hopes coming into the day, Adam, but the car is not going the right direction for Jeff Gordon, getting worse the longer they run on this run. Take a listen.
Yeah, the back is just terrible. I mean, well, all we've done is hurt the front. The back is really bad, and the front is just not turning up. 10-4.
Jeff Gordon continuing to try and get his race car dialed in. The good news for him, he's still within shouting distance of the leaders running in the 6th position. He started on the front row today with Ambrose, and the pole sitter now finds himself back in the 13th position. So that 9 team fighting their race car as we close in on halfway here at Sonoma.
And you know, you're going to get one more crack at getting this chassis right, and that's going to be the tough call to make for these guys. You know, they're trying to fix the back. They didn't fix the back and they hurt the front. That's the absolute worst direction you want to go in.
And not only when you don't fix the back of the car, or you make an adjustment and it doesn't fix and it does hurt the front, then the back going away on its own kills the front too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you're asking those 2 tires to do everything, to carry the whole car, to point the car in the right direction. It can't hook the car up when you go to the accelerator, obviously, but you're asking the front tires to put the car in position more because you can't go to the throttle and use that as a driving tool.
So now you got to go back on your change to get the front back to where it was, and then you still got to figure out, okay, now what are we going to do to get the back to hook up?
Casey Kane riding on board here. He's 10th right now, Matt.
One of 3 Hendrick cars, Adam, in the top 10, and his comments to his team mirrored that of his teammate Jeff Gordon. One of his bigger issues, though, is being too tight up the hill. They made a wedge adjustment. It has helped the race car, but Kenny Francis told him, you need to start saving me some fuel. At this point, we are 3 laps short of making it on one more stop.
Thank you, Matt. One of the themes early in 2012 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, not many cautions. We're caution-free so far today. This is the longest we've ever gone to start a race at Sonoma without seeing a yellow flag. Martin Truex Jr., the race leader. We're back in Sonoma, California. New race leader is Clint Bowyer. He took over the top spot when his teammate, Martin Truex Jr., gave it up to come down pit road, make his 2nd stop of the afternoon at lap 48. Another driver who looks like he's going to try and do it on 3 stops, A.J. Allmendinger. He's pitting right now in front of Ralph.
A.J. Allmendinger is in. No chassis adjustments being made. Pretty happy with the car. As we've been talking about, they've made their bet as far as strategy. Now they just got to wait and see how it plays out. He's getting his 4 fresh tires and a full fuel load. He's away.
First stop of the day for the 22 came at lap 19. This service coming at lap 49. And now we update our AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. And it would be Jimmy Johnson, who's 2nd in the running order. That's quickest of those who qualified up front today. Text FAST to 34763 or visit attfastestdriver.com. You could win 4Gs just by playing. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible.
You just saw that 22 car leave pit road, and it was sluggish. You heard him. You could hear it, the audio on TV, that he was on the gas, and just really burning. These guys, so many of these guys have gone to using first gear on the racetrack. Used to, many years ago, when the times I drove, I never used first gear, but they use first gear, so it's good for coming up off turn 11. It's good for a couple of different places, but it's really hard on the clutch and the getting out of pit road.
Larry, are you still on your original pencil as you continue to figure strategy?
Well, the biggest 2 drivers I'm paying attention to now, and as Wally and Kyle said, they have made their bed and they're going to have to lay in it, and that's Martin Truex Jr. and A.J. Allmendinger. Just watching the scoring monitor here with 60 laps to go, knowing that they have already made a 2nd stop and they still have to make a 3rd one, and most all the other drivers are just going to make an additional stop, I'm not convinced it's a race-winning move. I just think there's too many drivers that appears to be on a 2-stop strategy, because right now, Allmendinger and Truex will have to be back at pit road around lap 79 or 70, or lap 79 or 80, and it appears somewhere around lap 70 to 72, all the other drivers will make their final stop.
Well, you saw Truex get around Greg Biffle. The 56 car is in the 14th position. And after that last pit stop, we heard some interesting things in regard to strategy. Let's go inside tracks.
Like short pitting this next one, then whenever you get to 74, we all pit together because everybody's going to be pitting around there. Like, the problem is you'll be behind, you'll be like 10th, in 2 stops to get to the same point with no cautions or no nothing. That's the only thing I'm worried about. What is it going to be advantageous?
The longer you wait, the longer you're not taking advantage of your tires. So
All right, I love the conversation there because I think the only way this strategy works, they're going to have a caution because, guys, every driver has to make one more pit stop, and right now Martin Truex Jr. is 33 seconds behind leader Clint Bowyer.
And no sign of a caution. We're 4 laps from halfway, and we've not had a caution flag yet. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the great perspectives that we have.
Yeah, it's a great shot looking down on Martin. See him working the wheel, going down through the S's, coming up here on turn 10. Dive down on the inside. Trying to get Carl under braking.
His tires 19 laps fresher. That allows Truex to drive to the inside of Carl Edwards and make the pass for 13.
And even if you get that caution, I think you have to get that caution kind of late in order to be able to take advantage of you have better tires than everybody else.
And better track position to get to at least stay in that track. You know, when you're on new tires like this and you're 19 laps, you feel like a hero. Look at him. He's left, he's right. But the worst thing that happens to you is you run up on guys who have old tires and you have to run through this area at their pace. So when you should be using the good of your tires and could take advantage of it, you can't take advantage of it.
Truex in traffic. His teammate Clint Bowyer driving away. 52 laps complete in the 15 in front of Jimmy Johnson by 4.5 seconds. It is one of the great scenes in all of NASCAR. Sonoma, California, and wine country playing host to the 16th race of the year for the Sprint Cup Series, the Toyota Save Mart 350. Clint Bowyer is the race leader at halfway as we go McDonald's through the field. Here's Chris Neville.
And Clint Bowyer's been quiet on the radio all day. That car is good early in a run, and it's good late in the run. The only radio conversation seems to really be coming from crew chief Brian Patty telling Clint, save your stuff. About 2 times a lap, he tells Clint, save your stuff and stay focused. Matt.
The least amount of complaints, Chris, from any driver in my area about forward bite has been the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Early in the race, Chad Knaus told him, just be patient with your rear tires, and that's exactly what he's done. He says his car is very strong, especially in the braking zones.
Well, it's been a tough couple weeks for Kurt Busch, but things are going his way today. That car working very well. He's been quiet on the radio, but the team has been telling him, Clint, we need you to start saving some fuel, especially that last segment, in case we get into a green-white checker situation. Marty.
Well, Jeff Gordon was hoping for a little bit better today, but the car not as bad on this run as it was on the first run. He said again on the radio, we heard earlier, the front end just not working. They're talking about pulling a spring rubber from the left rear spring, about 20 laps from stops. Ralph?
Kyle Busch last pitted on lap 34. He's now into the portion of the run where the crew chief just says, hey, buddy, just hang on, keep it going, because he just reported in that he's dealing with wheel hop and that the car is horrible on power. He's got to get to around lap 68, Marty.
Well, somewhere back here, Ralph, is Juan Pablo Montoya, who's been having a heck of a day, and it's getting worse. Remember earlier we told you no tachometer for Montoya. They've had to have fuel alarm come on lately, and now he says he has no volts on the car. Electrical gremlins really plaguing that 42 car. In front of him, Casey Kane with Matt.
And Kane just made that move. Kenny Francis telling Casey once again, save gas when you're going down the hills. They're going to try to pit around lap 70 to 71. Making a lot of headway is the 14 car of Tony Stewart. He has climbed up to the 7th position now. Stewart in the same portion as the previous run. His car going to the free side. But he's definitely making good moves up through the field, Chris.
Well, the championship leader, Matt Kenseth, is having the day he kind of wanted to have. He was hoping to finish in the top 15 right now, sitting 9th, but the car just not biting the racetrack the way he wants. He said it's kind of floating up onto the racetrack. They're thinking about making an air pressure change for that final stop. Ralph?
Martin Truex is about 10 laps into this second run of his. Now is when he's got to be easy on the car. He's got good tires, fresh tires. He's making his way through the field, Larry. He's just got to be easy so he has something left when he gets to the later stages of the run.
Yeah, Ralph, the driver I'm watching is Kevin Harvick. Right now, he's the highest running driver for Richard Childress Racing. Started back in the 26th position, running 12th right now. He should be one of the drivers that should make that stop around lap 70. Just been hunting speed all weekend long. We've got a special group of kids here cheering for Kevin Harvick, a group of children from the Boys and Girls Club of America. Kevin has a program that helps these students have hope and stay focused despite any social or economical situations.
Thank you, Larry. And right behind Kevin Harvick on track would be Brian Vickers. He was running inside the top 10, got caught speeding on pit road. He's rallied back up, running in the 13th position. It's his teammate who has the field in tow right now. That would be Clint Boyer. His advantage over second place Jimmy Johnson, 4.6 seconds. Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Kyle Busch join him inside the top 5 at Sonoma. 59 of 110 laps complete in the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Sonoma, California. There is your race leader, Clint Boyer. Caution free so far this afternoon. And the Coca-Cola in-car camera on TNT Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with a Coca-Cola Racing family driver. Go to NASCAR.com and check out the Coca-Cola in-car camera on TNT Race Buddy.
Tell you what, Kurt Busch may just run down Boyer and pass him.
While we were away, went around Jimmy Johnson for second.
That is the rear suspension of the one car. Jamie McMurray gives you a pretty good idea how the rear of these cars work on this place, especially when they clobber a curb or two, but this is down in turn 11.
McMurray right now 18th. You see him riding behind Greg Biffle.
See how much movement the suspension have on these cars around this place. Takes a beating.
Wouldn't you like to see the exterior of that camera when they pull it off the underneath of this race car?
Watch that right rear just compress right there up that hill. We'll see if he clobbers a curve down here. I don't know how the spring stays in the bucket.
Yeah. You know, you watch the pinion angle there. That's the drive shaft on the right, the white thing, and that's the gear that is the big orange thing almost just to the right of the center of the shot. It's amazing how much the rear end moves up and down, and the pinion angle, and how tough that is when he goes back to the gas, how hard it is on the yoke.
Gives you a good idea how these things work around here.
And then we wonder why they break. You know what I mean? As a driver, you get out of them, it's like, well, why did that break? You know, and you're able to actually see, like we're showing right now, the parts and pieces and the travel and how hard they are.
See out the curves, they're like, I know what the curves.
I never saw a curve. That's a good shot.
As you ride with Jamie McMurray here, David Gilliland made a pit stop. He was penalized too fast exiting a moment ago. So McMurray right now scored in the 18th position, and it won't be long before he's in front of his teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya, who's having a host of problems this afternoon, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, about 15 minutes ago, he said, boys, we're in trouble. And I'll say they're in a heap of trouble in terms of all the electrical issues. They're going to come to pit road here pretty quick. But what they're going to change is the relay inside the car. That's what's causing all the electrical problems. The no tachometer he's had all day long. The fuel warning light that's been coming on all afternoon long. They're going to pit right now, Larry Mack. That's not a quick fix, is it?
No, it isn't, Marty, because here's the relay box. Now, I talked earlier about the electronic fuel injection. This right here, the red box, is the brains of the electronic fuel injection. It's called the ECU box. It's what controls the entire system. But what controls a lot of the electrical current to the ECU and to the fuel pumps is a relay box. And just think about it as like a fuse box in your home. And you have these little breakers right here, these little circuit breakers. It's going to be simple to change because all they have to do is undo this one connector and change the box out. But just think about it, Adam. They don't have the luxury of lifting the body off that 42 car like I do.
Yeah, they don't have a cutaway car. Their machine is full body.
Yeah, but when why take the box out? Just unhook it and hook a new box in and duct tape it on there. I mean, that would be a lot faster than taking the box out.
Yeah, it seems to be. You see the guy inside the car right here. He's replaced the box, and you see one reach over. He's asking him.
Thumbs up. So that's, I mean, thumbs up is a good sign.
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Go ahead, Marty.
And that was Will Bragg, the engine specialist, who hopped in the right side window. I would say that's about a world record for changing out a relay box on pit road. Nice job by these guys. Actually, Chris Heroy, the crew chief, high-fived a bunch of guys and clapped when they left pit road. I think they're finally happy to have a full electrical system. We'll see if it pays off here late in the race for Juan Pablo.
The pit stop double what it would normally take to get service. 25 seconds, incredible for what they just did.
Anything speed, maybe, on pit lane.
That's pretty impressive. Hopefully his tack will come back and some of that stuff. The tack was the first telltale sign that he was having electrical problems.
The lead for Clint Boyer, 5 seconds over second place Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, the top 5 at Sonoma. NASCAR on TNT back at Sonoma. Let's go inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Most laps led today, that would be Clint Boyer. 27 circuits he's been out front this afternoon. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app only from Sprint. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Top speed today, Jeff Gordon, 148 miles per hour. And Gordon right now in the 4th position. And after dropping back early, he had led some laps, faded. Gordon's starting to rally a little bit now.
When did he pit?
Well, last pitted at lap 34.
Yeah, because he's running good lap times right now.
In fact, if you look at that group inside the top 10, they're all in that same strategy. Pitted around 34, 35, somewhere in that neighborhood, with the exception of Martin Truex Jr., who is 6th right now, and he's already pitted twice. His last stop at lap 48.
All these guys, and you're right, Jeff is pitted, and whatever that adjustment was, it helped some. You know, he was still complaining about no rear grip, front going away, but he has run down the 48. He's come back up through there. He's running some really solid lap times. But when you look at the lap tracker, Kyle Busch has just gone, or Kurt Busch has just gone to another place. Yeah. I mean, he has driven past these two cars a little bit earlier, and he has just gone to another place. He is a good, consistently 3 or 4 tenths faster per lap. Now, he's a pretty good ways behind the 15 car of Clint Boyer, but he has put this car right in the thick of things from pit strategy and pit stop wise.
And you saw there via twitter.com/#NASCAR from the 24 camp, Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon, trying to motivate his driver. And here's Gordon pulling out a line to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. This would be for 3rd, no problem, completing the pass down in turn 11. But as Kyle pointed out, Gordon and Johnson 4 seconds behind Kurt Busch, who's in the runner-up position. Matt, what's the latest on the 48?
And the reason why Jimmy Johnson let his teammate go by, Chad Knaus could see on the monitor, said, if you want to try to save a little bit more fuel, just go ahead and let the 24 go by. We're closing in on that next round of pit stops, about 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, the green flag pit stop scheduled here at Sonoma just around the corner. We're going to step aside. We'll have them for you when we come back. 68 laps complete in wine country. Your race leader is Clint Boyer. Laps complete in the Toyota Mart 350 in Sonoma, California. There is your race leader, Clint Boyer. His advantage over second place Kurt Busch, 2.7 seconds. The last time Clint pitted, lap 34. His teammate, Martin Truex Jr., who's 6th on a different strategy. Let's go inside tracks.
So how's our strategy working with a 3-stop versus a 2-stop?
We'll probably pit about the same time that the rest of these guys do. So we'll make our last stop at the same time that they would. Like they're already saving fuel right now. They're pressure with them so we don't lose as many spots, and we'll be able to go. It'll be about 13 gallons, and they really want it packed. So stay in as long as you can with the first one, so that when you come back with the second, that's the one that's packed.
What do you make of that, Larry?
Well, what they've got to make sure they don't do is stay out there too long, and all the leaders make a green flag pit stop, and then a caution comes out and burns them. Chris Neville.
Well, Matt Kenseth just was in, did 4 tire change, quarter pound of air out of both rear tires. Marty.
Taken in. Menard.
Ralphie. AJ Allmendinger is in. He's taking 4 tires of fuel. He's away. Waiting on the 18. He's next.
Let's go back down to Chris Neville. More green flag stops. What's happening in front of you, Matt?
The 48 of Johnson is in. Right side's already on. And Chad Canals told him, just back up your throttle on entry to help save some fuel, but you can pick up your points on the throttle anywhere you want, Ralph.
Kyle Busch was asked if he wanted a chassis adjustment. He said, no, sir, just air pressure. Just air pressure for the 18. That's it. 51 is in as well.
Well, Kurt Busch will be coming in this lap. That car is going to be coming in and trying to clean the grill because Busch says the car is very good. However, his water temp running about 280 degrees.
And with Clint Bowyer making his pit stop, Kurt Busch has cycled through as the race leader. This is exactly what happened in the cycle of pit stops when all these guys came down earlier, anywhere from lap 33 to 35.
And if Busch can get a good pit stop out of this deal, looks like the 24 may have run out of fuel.
Gordon second right now, but slowed down the back straight there, Marty.
Yeah, he's out of fuel. He didn't get the signal to come to pit road, and now he can't get to pit road. Look at all the traffic Jeff Gordon's trying to get through. Finally gets his way to pit road. What a heartbreak for these guys. The car had finally gotten where he had wanted to, but Jeff Gordon completely out of fuel, Adam.
And this tough for Casey Kane, too, because Kane has to slow his speed behind Gordon here.
Yes, he has to slow down. No matter what Jeff's running, he's got to slow down and stay off of Jeff at that point in time. Jeff slowed down that entry, and you can make time on that entry. So that really hurt Casey as far as getting into the pits and getting to the cone.
Kane's in, Matt.
What an impressive day they have had, pretty much running top 10 most of the day. They are waiting on fuel. Kenny Francis says, wait on me to make sure we have a fully loaded. Tony Stewart pitted as well. Both Hendrick engines, they are away.
Jeff Gordon crawls to pit road. Matt, he limps into his pit stall, completely out of fuel. The car not fired at all. He'll do the 4-tire change. They'll have to try and get it cranked here. There it does crank for Jeff Gordon, so he will be able to leave pit road. But obviously, they lost a ton of time waiting on Alan Gustafson here to make sure the tank is completely full for Jeff Gordon, who leaves pit road.
Well, you're right, Marty. They lost a ton of time on that deal. I thought this was going to be the place to get his monkey off the back. Doesn't look like it's still there.
Jamie McMurray getting his service here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wally, for Jeff Gordon Jamie McMurray leaving pit road, he said his car just completely falls off in the second half of the run. They made a track bar and air pressure adjustment trying to get that car a little bit better. It's way too loose at the end of a run.
Yeah, they probably lost, I bet, 40 seconds because of running out of fuel, if not more. So that really put them in a bind.
Jeff Gordon was second when he ran out of fuel. Right now he's 15th, and it's possible he could drop further than that as this thing cycles through. We'll keep an eye on it. Martin Truex Jr. back out front. He last pitted at lap 48. He's one of the drivers that didn't come in right here. It's Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch right behind him on track.
Hey, Adam, 2 things. What makes me nervous about Jeff Gordon, if we don't have a caution, he's going to have to try to run the same amount of laps that he just tried to run to get to the lap 110 to finish this race. But Martin Truex Jr., I go back to what I was trying to say before we broke out those green flag pit stops. If he keeps going and we get a caution, he is absolutely in trouble. They need to bring him to pit road pretty quick because all of these other drivers, they're not going to pit if the caution comes out right now, and he would have to restart all the way behind all of the top 23 drivers that are on the lead lap.
And Larry, the sooner that he pits, in fact, here he comes right now, that gives him that much more time to make that ground up on track. Am I correct?
Well, exactly. But the biggest thing, he had to get there on pit road to make sure a caution didn't come out and just take him completely out of contention.
Last time for Truex on pit road, lap 48. This stop going to come at lap 73. Ralph, take us through the stop.
Well, they're thinking this will be their last time. Now watch as he comes rolling down pit road right, and I'll tell you when the crew chief tells him, here, there, see, he jumps on the gas a little bit and lurches that car right into the box. That's working those timing loops brilliantly for the 56. Here they change all 4 tires. No chassis adjustments being called. No, there it is, a quick chassis adjustment on the left rear at the last second. He wanted more forward bite. That's what they're going to do. He's full of fuel, he's away.
The pit stop for Truex, 13.5 seconds. His advantage on track before he came to pit road was 14 seconds. That puts his teammate back out front. Clint Bowyer, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch, the top 4 at Sonoma. TNT Fastest Driver Challenge. Jimmy Johnson, the best of the 4 drivers that qualified up front today. Sign up next week by texting FAST to 34763 or visit attfastestdriver.com. Brought to you by the nation's largest 4G network, AT&T Rethink Possible. This is a great shot on board with McMurray.
I like the shot on the left side. The shot on the right side is obviously from the roof of the car, but the shot on the left side is really almost from the passenger's side. And you can see, you get the sensation of speed just a little bit more. You see him brake hard, you see it load on the front, up the hill there, catch another gear right here. You see over the bump. You can see the car from this angle. The camera actually takes the bumps when you take it. You see that rough spot? Boom, he's up on the curve there, he's up on the curve there. You see the side jump around. It's a really good shot, and it does show speed. Through the S's here, he hits the little ripple strips on the left side, back over to the right side. You see the car bump to the left side. He's up on that ripple strip. To the right side, he's up on that one. Then this is fast right here, and this is where he runs up through the gears, catches it right here. You see right on the inside, and this is turn 10. So when he comes through here, he's got to hit that apex right, drifts out right to the dirt, straight down into turn 11. Hard on the brakes, and you see that bump right there as you come in. A lot of wheel hop starts there with these guys when you hit that bump because it loads and unloads really quick. This is up off of it, up off turn 11 and back to the start-finish line. The pit's right on your left.
Closing on 30 laps remaining in the Toyota Save Mart 350. Last time a road course race went caution-free, it's been a while. 1979 at Riverside. Down Harvick right now in the 23rd position.
But Harvick ran out of gas. The only reason he's in 23rd, and we didn't approach it, we didn't bring it up on that last pit stop, so I don't know how we missed it. But the 29 car ran out of gas. And you see, while the 15 car has been messing with Harvick here, if you can see in a couple of these shots, the 51 car right there of Kurt Busch has closed that gap. This has totally changed the race. Harvick running out of gas, Bowyer catching him at just the wrong time and having to mess with him has changed this part of the race.
And Kurt's been, he's been fast the whole race. These guys have done an outstanding job. I mean, he lost a little bit of time on the pit stop, but he has been making it all on the racetrack.
Yes.
And this being my second pick, I'm very happy about that.
He was like 5 seconds back after the green flag stops, and the difference last time around was 2.7 seconds. Our poll today at twitter.com/#NASCAR. Should there be a road course race during the chase?
Oh,
the answer, everyone's saying #road yes, 74%.
I agree with that.
And as always, you can be a part of the conversation at the track and throughout the week at twitter.com/#NASCAR.
And just that little bit, that lap of Bowyer messing with the 29 car, he cut it in over half. It went from 2.7 to 1 second.
Yeah, let's see what he loses now.
Yeah. now that he's got to mess with it. But that shows how important it is to catch somebody and get around him. And look, Harvick pulls over and let the 51 go, which totally negates that. You know, they're back in that. They're in that thing where all that Boyer could hope for is that Harvick would hold the 51 up a little bit, but he didn't.
And you can see here how he was gaining on him lap by lap. And really, these are the only two guys in the same area code. Kurt a second back, Jimmy Johnson in third is 16 seconds back, and there's Tommy Dreese. Hit the wall hard yesterday in practice, and he has done it again. Our first caution of the day.
Just hold there, man.
That will be a caution. Hope everybody at home sees this one.
Took us 81 laps, and finally we get our first caution of the day at Sonoma. And that big lead that Clint Boyer and Kurt Busch had over everybody else, yep, wipe it out.
But even at that, they are still, if they can pit and come out in those positions, they're still right now the class of the field.
Clint Boyer, the race leader, under caution for the first time today. Coming back on TNT. Leader is Clint Boyer. Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. are the top five. Let's go down to Matt Yoakum. Report on Tony Stewart.
And a host of cars hitting pit road, including the 14 of Tony Stewart. They were more than a lap and a half short of making it. So Steve Addington calling the audible, hit him to pit road, get 4 sticker tires and top them off, so there are no issues, even if we get a green-white checker finish.
For Marcos Ambrose, Matty came in. He wanted more drive off, especially off of 11, so they give him a track bar and a wedge adjustment, trying to get that car a little bit better. They come in running 9. There's 22 cars on the lead lap. Interesting decision. Ralph?
A.J. Allmendinger came in. He's taking fuel and 4 tires. He is away.
Who's lucky dog is who?
Kevin Harvick gets the free pass here.
There you go.
The top 5, and some others stayed out. Clint Boyer still your race leader. We'll set the field for those guys who pitted after a break on TNT. Under caution in Sonoma, California. Tommy Dreese spun, hit the wall. He's climbed from the car, made the ride in the ambulance to the care center, and here's a replay of what happened.
Yeah, and it's hard to see. That's the shot we have. It's hard to see whether he got help at that point or not. We talked about it earlier. When a slow car gets in front of you in that area, we saw the 51 get into the back of the 22 right through that same area, push him out of the way.
Top 7 cars stayed on track, did not pit. Clint Boyer is your race leader with 84 complete in California. Well, let's go inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Fastest 4-tire stop today, Tony Stewart's guys, 12.1 seconds. Get live in-car audio and real-time stats on the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile Android app, only from Sprint. Eight lead changes today among 5 different drivers. The reason we're under caution, Tommy Dreese got turned around over in the S's. He has been released from the care center. Top 7 cars under this caution did not pit. Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, and Casey Mears. Brian Vickers will restart 8th. He and the rest of the field did come down pit road, and Kevin Harvick gets the free pass under this, the first caution of the day. The American Ethanol Sweepstakes is happening now. Log on to NASCAR.com/AE Sweeps for your chance to win one of 3 Chevrolet Silverados. American Ethanol, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. The caution is cleaned up. We're going to go back green. And that big lead for Clint Boyer is gone. This brings guys like Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane right back into the game. The green flag goes in the air as we complete lap 86. And the green is out right now, and here we go. Back at it at Sonoma.
Boyer got a good start. Just what he needed. Really didn't want to go up there side by side with Kurt.
They're going to do it for 3rd. Jimmy Johnson inside of Kyle Busch had the preferred line.
I tell you what, though, Kurt Busch is not going to. He's not going to give him too much room for the rest of this lap.
Little contact there. I think Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch behind that battle for the lead.
This is where Kurt Busch has been really, really good through here. See if he can set him up for a pass under braking. No, not close enough.
But you see Kyle Busch.
There comes Truex down there on the bottom underneath Kyle.
Yeah, and that happened all the way back over in turns 3 and 4, where it opened the door with Jimmy Johnson and the 18 of Kyle Busch running side by side.
And all these drivers know this is a great time to make up ground on this restart.
Yeah, and we talked about this. You know, we talked about it in the opening. You maintain where you need to be the first third of the race, and that's what these guys did. You set yourself up for position in the second third of the race, so the middle part of the race there. And I think when you look at that, that's what the 51 car of Kurt Busch and what the 15 of Bowyer have done, is put themselves in the right position. And this is the part of the race where you have to be aggressive, and we see that on this restart already.
Jeff Gordon ran out of fuel earlier. You see him driving inside of A.J. Allmendinger down there in turn 11. Now the leaders flashing across the start-finish line. That left-hander at turn 1, uphill to turn 2. Bowyer in front of Kurt Busch, but can't pull away.
You got Vickers up there in the 7th spot. He worked his way back from serving that pit road penalty, because he was 40 seconds behind not too long ago.
He has driven a great race today. No matter what, you see the 14 and the 17 right there get into each other and gouge each other just a little bit. Let's see if Tony goes to the inside and tries it right here.
Kenseth got off track just for a second, and that opened the door for Tony Stewart. Give the 14 another position.
Somebody got into the 14. You see the damage in the left rear.
And again, you see the 17 car and the 14 car. They gouge each other a little bit, and Matt loses 3 positions between turns 4 and turn 7 right there.
A lot of smoke back there.
Yes, there is.
That's up at turn 7. Jamie McMurray around. That's going to cost him a ton of track position.
And this is what we've talked about from the very beginning, from going green, was these guys are getting aggressive with each other. And when you lose this many track positions, you know, with 20, 30 laps to go, you see Jamie down on the inside.
Jamie
got
did that to himself. In trouble there,
Yeah, he did that to himself. He just drove in. Great job by Biffle hanging on to that.
McMurray was in the 18th position. Now he's the final car on the lead lap, 10 seconds off the race lead.
But that's just being aggressive. He was trying to make something happen 2 or 3 wide right there.
Talked about Tony Stewart, his move around Matt Kenseth. Smoke started 24th. He is now 8th in the running order.
Boy, Kurt Busch is just closing the gap a little bit every lap.
I'm going to tell you, you keep Kurt in the race this late and give him a sniff of victory in this 51 car and everything that's gone on with him. Nobody ever took away from his driving talent. Everybody said an incredible driver. He just had to get his head straight off the racetrack. You give him a sniff of this is going to be, he's going to be hard, man. He's going to be hard on Clint. But Clint's the same way. Clint's up there running. He's got something to prove, too, that he can win anywhere, anytime. Right. And it's important on a road course to
Boyer's having to drive harder now than he has all race, too. So we're starting to see what exactly these two front drivers have as far as race cars go, because everybody's having to step their game up a little bit.
And let's remind everyone, 2 weeks ago at Pocono, Kurt Busch not at the racetrack, suspended by NASCAR. He's back and looking good here today. And one more time, let's go look back and look at the replay of Jamie McMurray when he went around up at turn 7. This replay from inside the cockpit.
Tony Stewart taking another spot, so is Logano.
You hear it hopping.
Yeah, wheel hop, yeah. But he just drove it down in there hard, and that's what happens. I mean, if you drive it in too hard and you get on the brakes late and you're downshifting all at once, that's when you get the wheel hop.
Yeah, and the audio, you could hear the thing wheel hop. It sounds like you're going over a railroad track. It just rattles. And the thing got the wheel hop, and he, as soon as he got out from under him, he stood in the gas and stayed in it and spun it back around. Fortunate for him, everybody went to the outside. Nobody tried to cut that corner because we've seen pileups in that corner before.
Talking a lot about Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch here on this restart. What about the man in third right now, Matt?
Added before the caution, Chad Knaus kept cautioning Jimmy Johnson to try to save fuel. They were about a lap and a half short, and then the caution recycled everything. Chad told him, we are good to go now. You have the green light. Go as hard as you can. But several teams out of my area, their bigger concern is Vickers back in the 55 because fresh tires, not racing for points, just pride.
Yeah, Vickers, one of those drivers that came down pit road at lap 83. So did Tony Stewart, who is right behind him. What's the story in the 55 camp, Marty?
Well, as Wally mentioned, they had that pit road speeding penalty exiting pit road on the first stop of the day, so they've really recovered, and they have made so few adjustments on Brian Vickers' car, and that's the one thing they keep telling him. Remember, you have fresher tires than everybody else. They pitted, took 4 tires on that last stop, and he's certainly gaining on the guys in front of him.
Brian Vickers making his third start of the year. Marty talked about the adversity of speeding on pit road. Remember back in March, made his debut, he said, I can't believe it. I finally got a ride, and I got to go to Bristol and race. And he finished inside the top 5 and led laps. And here he is in the top 5 again on the road course at Sonoma.
Got 20 laps to go, though. You're going to have to, it's all in right now. Vickers back 4 seconds.
Clint Boyer at one time today had a 5-second advantage. That caution closed things up. He's back in front of Kurt Busch now by a half a second with 20 remaining here in Sonoma. Aggression starting to heat up in Sonoma, California. Clint Boyer, the race leader. Kurt Busch behind him. Jimmy Johnson is third with 17 laps remaining. Then back behind them, you have got a dogfight. While we were at break, Brian Vickers going around Kyle Busch. This is when it starts to happen at Sonoma, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. You see Vickers. We've talked about him. He gets a good strong run up off that corner and dives to the inside. I don't think Kyle thought he was going to go there at that point in time. Here he is, just in this place. Now this is a tough place to be too wide, and this is just a power move. He gets hooked up on the outside, noses ahead enough that Kyle knows he's got to give up that position before they get to this point. That's a power move by Vickers right there. Yeah, just a little bit, not really a lot. I mean, you can expect that. We've seen guys body slam. That's a good job of Vickers staying off of Kyle, and Kyle giving him a little room, knowing that he was there, knowing they had to come out the other side of that corner and didn't want to lose anything else.
Real difficult what Vickers did to stay on the outside on that left-hander.
Another spin here.
Yeah, got one around. That's Denny Hamlin. He was running inside the top 10. That's not going to help his day. Now Harvick has nowhere to go.
And that kills Harvick. Harvick had just passed all these cars that you see going by Harvick. Harvick had worked his way back around those guys. And Vickers to the right rear corner of that. It looks like Vickers has had a little bit of help. Got a little bit of help getting down in there.
Like Hamlin got hammered by Logano.
Oh, Logano just
his teammate.
Yeah, his teammate just kind of gets down in there, and I don't think he expects Denny to come back across right there because he had already stuck his nose in there. That's what we're seeing this time of the race, and you see Harvick go to the outside.
And that dropped Harvick back to 20th in the running order.
Well, that's all 3 Gibbs cars. Yeah, all 3 Gibbs cars.
And they were all running in the top 10.
All made contact. Yeah, all made contact with each other.
That's a car owner's nightmare right there.
Denny Hamlin 21st right now, running in the top 10. So Clint Boyer, the race leader, with 16 to go. Let's go through the field. Presented by McDonald's. Chris Neville, get us going.
Well, I think Clint Boyer's going to be tough to beat today. His crew chief Brian Petty is telling him, stay focused and make sure that 15 is straight before you pull the trigger trying to get off turn 11. That car rarely locking the right front going into 11 and rarely sliding the rear coming off 11. The 15 looks so strong. Right behind him, Kurt Busch. He led 770 laps last year. He's only led 6 this year, but he's hoping to lead that last lap. That car also looks strong, but he's definitely locking up the right front and sliding the rear off 11. Matt?
When Jimmy Johnson first hit Sprint Cup Series competition, he really thought his off-road experience would translate to success on the road courses, but he said, especially Sonoma, this place is so technical and finesse-wise, it's taken him a while, but he won here 2 years ago. He's been very strong last year and currently runs third, Marty. In fact, Jimmy hasn't said anything on the radio, but his lap times mirror that of second place Kurt Busch.
Well, we saw the outstanding move from Brian Vickers to get the 4th position. Last week he was in Le Mans running the 24 hours, had a good result there, and Adam mentioned a moment ago, He finished 5th at Bristol earlier this year in his first ride in the 55. Looks like he might do better than that here in Sonoma, Matt.
What a day for 5th place Tony Stewart. Started back in 24th, worked his way up much of the day. Then that caution was the game changer for the 14 team. They were over a lap and a half short on fuel. They were able to hit pit road, top off, and get 4 brand new tires. He's making the most of it, and side bite is especially good. Ralph?
Well, the problem for Martin Truex is he's just dealing with what he's got, and that's not a whole lot with 14 laps left to go. This is that stage of the races where you have exactly what you're dealt, and you got to play those cards, Marty, and it's just a question of how long and how hard can you drive it to the finish. He's trying to nurse everything out of it he possibly can. Just doesn't have a whole lot left in the car.
Terrific rally at the end of the race, Ralph, for Joey Logano in the 7th position. He's one of those cars who pitted a while ago, restarted 12th, but I'm sure he's going to replay the move with Denny Hamlin, his teammate, over and over in his head. But a nice run here for Logano, looking at another top 10. It'd be his 4th in the last 6 races, Ralph.
When he was just a kid, A.J. Allmendinger ran his very first race here at Sonoma on the twisting road course in his shifter cart in the driving rain. Tires weren't very good that day. He's got good tires right now. He's one of those cars that dove down and took tires when the yellow came out. He's trying to get everything he can out of it in front of his friends and family. He's from Los Gatos, just south of Sonoma.
And Ralph, another local is Jeff Gordon, who just went around him for the 8th position. And here he comes, proving once again that he has a very fast car today. It looked like he was going to be in a position to get his 10th career road course win, but this, a microcosm of a season. Gordon leading, had trouble running out of gas. Looks like we have a battle for the lead, Adam.
Yes, we do. Clint Bowyer trying to become the 6th consecutive driver to win on a road course for the first time here at Sonoma. The guy that did it last year, Kurt Busch, trying to deny him. He's right in his hip pocket.
And what I've seen, when Kurt last pit back on 72 or something like that, but Kurt's car stays even the whole run. I mean, you'll see some of these guys start coming back to him, but Kurt's car is very consistent. Boy, he's looking. He's going to look right here.
Yeah,
at the bottom here.
He rolled in there pretty hard and lost it on the exit to that corner a little bit. Kurt did, but he is all over this 15 car. And I think it's like you said, Wally. His car is
by 2. He's just braking a little bit later. He's using his stuff up earlier as you are.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Kurt is there. He's letting that thing roll through the corner. He's making good time through turn 10 here. You watch him get into turn 10 right here and come off. He makes good time and accelerates down this little short chute into turn 11 and has closed it up.
Right, 2, check the bottom, check the bottom, check the bottom. Set by 1, go by half.
There you go. I'm here.
And just
good. Straight drives off, clear by 1 already.
And that's gamesmanship right there. I'm not going to wreck you. I'm not going to mess with you. I'm just going to tell you I'm here. And if you make a mistake, it's going to be, I'm going to take advantage of that mistake.
And that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do is, Kurt, you want to keep those mirrors full at all times, because if the guy in front of you is looking in the mirror all the time, he's going to make a mistake eventually.
You know, and Kurt's really good through the top part of the racetrack, which is the slow part of the racetrack. You see Kurt close on him right there, close on him up off these corners.
Just trying to force the mistake, man. You're doing fine. Just hit your marks. You'll be fine here.
Yeah, look, everybody knows the game. You see Kurt through here. He's better through here, but he's just a little bit off when he gets that bump. Hits that second set of ripple strips, his car gets a little bit free. That's where, as we've talked about Bowyer all day, he gets the car set and accelerates up off the corner. Clint Bowyer has done a phenomenal job today. If anybody thought Clint Bowyer wasn't the real deal and couldn't drive a race car at some point in time, think again, because my man has done a great job here today, no matter what happens.
Yeah, he's kept the thing. He's doing a good, smooth job, and he's, like you said, his key all day has been driving this car straight off the corner. But this is the part where you cannot let Kurt Busch get close enough under braking here. All he needs is another half a car length in these corners, and he's going to outbrake Clint. So, I mean, Clint cannot make a little bit of mistake, especially going into 10 or going into 11 and going into 7.
Bowyer has now led 58 of the 99 laps turned at Sonoma this afternoon. And we should remind you, Kurt Busch, who's led 2 laps, not here yesterday. He was racing Kyle's Nationwide car up at Road American, Wisconsin. Just parked the car for the day. Didn't get it on track. This is an amazing result for he and this team. More problems for Denny Hamlin there.
See, right here if he could just put it together a little bit, he could dive underneath and try to outbreak him. But Clint's doing a good job. He almost went too far, and he locked up the right front. That's what Boyer's got to be careful not to do.
You're clear.
And if we go back to the first part of the race, remember when the 9 car locked the front and then gave up that position, the lead to the 24. And that's the same situation these two are in here. Obviously, their tires are a little bit older. You know, it's tough when you watch these two race. Who needs this win more? With everything that Clint has gone through, coming from Childers, coming over here to Michael Waltrip Racing, Toyota, this being a Toyota race, where he's at right now, I think this would be huge for Clint and for Toyota.
That right front up.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you
lock the track, he'll never beat you. Clear by 2 already. Race the track, and you'll be all right.
If you lock that right front up any earlier than he is, Kurt will make the move because the car will quit turning. And then you have traffic you have to deal. Well, Montoya got out of the way there. That was nice of him.
If you're wondering who's in third, it's Jimmy Johnson. He's 3.4 seconds behind this battle for the race lead. Vickers is fourth, 5 seconds behind, and Tony Stewart is fifth, 5.8 seconds back. Reach 10 laps to go as they head down toward turn 7.
Yeah, Boyer gets through there pretty good.
Only one caution today, fewest we've had here, 3. It's happened on 4 different occasions. That's a record that may fall before day's end.
Through turn 7 there, Boyer's got him a pretty good groove. He cuts in early, gets his right side up over the curb on the back side of the curb, and this straight lines that and comes off the bump, but he's still driving in a straight line.
Denny Hamlin, who had those problems earlier in turn 11, we showed you he was slow a moment ago. He has taken his car to the garage.
When Kurt's car rolls so good through 11 right there, you just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, he still can't. Up off the corner, the 15 car of Clint Bowyer is a better car. And Clint has worked so hard. Evidently, they've worked during practice, but so hard all day long to keep that thing going in a straight line up off the corner and hooking it up equal on both tires. Not overrunning the left rear or not overrunning the right rear tire.
What about the day for Michael Waltrip Racing? Bowyer leading, led 60 laps this afternoon. Brian Vickers is fourth. Martin Truex Jr. is sixth in this race. All 3 cars running inside the top 6, and we should point out they've won twice in the history of the team. Both victories for David Rudiman. One in the Coca-Cola 600, rain shortened. He also won a couple of years ago at Chicago.
I think they'll get to a point where Kurt's just going to go all in on one of these corners.
And one of them, he's just going to, just roll through the center of it. But you know what? That was good advice to Clint. Don't look in the mirror. Race the racetrack. Pay attention to hit your marks. Race the racetrack. And I think if Clint races the racetrack, he's better. He's better. He's got a better car. He's better at putting his car in position. He can't give up. He can't make one mistake at this point in time. You'd like to be in Clint's position 10 seconds ahead. That's the optimum position to be in.
Exactly.
But you see Kurt roll in the middle there. As long as Clint just focuses on it.
Off, you're clear by 4 already.
See, when he hits his marks and gets back to the accelerator and doesn't overdrive it and just hits his marks, Clint's got a car.
8 laps to go. And you see now Clint's created some separation here. And that lap by 3.8 seconds, the lead for Clint Bowyer over third place Jimmy Johnson. So these two racing tight really has not opened the door for the 48.
No.
At least as of now.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to open the door for the 48 if these two run into each other.
And take each other out.
And take each other out. That's the 48 is there. I mean, he's ready to take advantage of anything that happens up front. But he's not going to be able to make something happen up front.
He's not running the lap times these two guys are up front.
Things stabilizing at the front for Clint Bowyer. It's been fast here all weekend long. Kurt Busch behind him. There's Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart has gotten around Brian Vickers for the 4th position. And how about Jeff Gordon? Made his 2nd pit stop of the day after he ran out of fuel. Lost a ton of track position. And the man who's won here 5 times has rallied. Now finds himself 7th with 8 laps to go. Best finish for Michael Waltrip Racing here as Tony Stewart drives inside of Jimmy Johnson. That's for third.
Yeah, we're talking about the 48 taking advantage of something that happens up front. He can't even take advantage of that. I mean, the 14 has come back up through it. Tony Stewart may have had one of the best runs of the day that we haven't talked about. And we have mentioned him a lot, don't get me wrong. But where his qualifying was and where he's at right now is pretty spectacular.
The other thing to mention with Stewart, he pitted at lap 83. Boyer and Busch pitted at 71 and 72. That looks like a road course car that really has been through the ringer, and he's earned it all the way. I mean, the car's beaten up, and Tony Stewart running third.
Yeah, Stewart just drove in there really deep.
Yeah, he did.
Locked it up, but made it work.
And you know what? When he locks that right front, he's loaded that left front. The left front is still rotating, even though the brakes are on. It's still rotating. The right front just gets light, gets up on top of the racetrack, and it smokes it like that.
Tony Stewart the last time around was over 5 seconds behind the leader, Clint Boyer.
Look at Vickers.
We'll follow that as Brian Vickers, another one on fresher tires, tries to work over Jimmy Johnson. This for fourth. Six laps to go. Tony Stewart not making up any ground, and Clint Boyer pulling away from Kurt Busch. His advantage that time around, a second and a half.
Yeah, it almost seems like that the 51 car kicked too quick.
He was running pretty hard
like
there
in a
for
sprint
long time,
race.
yeah.
You know, do I kick with 2 laps to go or whatever? He kicked too quick, and now he's kind of giving up his stuff.
Chris?
Well, you guys called it right there. Clint Boyer starting to build some separation right now. Kurt Busch came on the radio a minute ago, had some comments about the tire that I can't say on TV, but obviously he just pushed it too hard there for about 10 laps. His car now fading. Larry?
Yeah, what I was going to say about Kurt Busch, and we still have 6 laps to go, and a lot can happen in 6 laps, but I know he wanted to win this race, and rightly so. And as I think you pointed out, certainly has used everything up to this 51 car. But if he can truly come home second, what a great run for this race team and for Kurt Busch. When you think about it, he lost his ride at Penske Racing during the offseason because of a lot of incidents that happened over there. As you pointed out, Adam, he was suspended 2 weeks ago after a situation during the Nationwide Series race and post-race at Dover. This is a great new beginning for Kurt Busch if he can seal the deal with this second-place finish today.
Michael Waltrip Racing, best finish ever at Sonoma. 1 year ago, Martin Truex Jr. was 8th. Today, all 3 of the MWR cars running inside the top 6. Boyer leading, Vickers 5th, and right behind him is Truex.
And the 15 car of Clint Boyer and the 56 of Martin Truex have led most of the race. When you go back and look at the laps, I think we'll see that Michael Waltrip Racing, their team led the majority of the race. And that 55 the 55 car of, as we see Truex right here in front of Jeff Gordon, but the 55 car of Vickers, I think has been a standout today also to come and not be in a car in a little while here.
There's Jeff Gordon continuing his rally through the field.
Truex was a little wide there and opened the door, and he rolled in, but you see they have to give it up right here. Even though the 24 had a little bit of a run, you can't go through this area side by side.
These 2 cars connected at the hip here a couple of years ago. Remember that? Turn 11?
Yeah, I don't think they're thinking about that right now. I could tell you, I would bet money that's never crossed their mind. Here we go.
Here we got problems. Kyle Busch, Paul Menard, Juan Pablo Montoya all going around in turn 7.
You see the 27 having to sit there and wait until he can clear and turn around.
And we get a caution, and that changes everything.
Caution's out, 27.
You wouldn't be surprised if we see 3 abreast.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to see Montoya's way out of the way over there. Kyle Busch just got loose under braking and tagged the 27 car. So
yeah, I think they were trying. I mean, I think Kyle, like you say, Kyle just mashed the brakes, the rear to come around on him, and he got in the back of the 27. Juan was trying to stay out of the way. He was not even involved in that. Let's hear if we see chatter.
Yep.
Yeah, hear that wheel hop?
Wheel hop.
Yeah.
Cleared.
Yeah, that's just what happens when you drive these things in too hard like that. If you go in just that little extra 2 or 3 feet, that wheel hop,
all clear.
Can't get out of it. Well, you can get out of it if you hit the gas, but that's hard to do when you're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah. That's the second car from the Joe Gibbs camp that's had problems late in the race while running inside the top 10. Hamlin and now Kyle Busch.
Hamlin's in the garage area. He's out or off the track right now, no matter what. But this totally changes. Will these tires come back? And this is going to be interesting to see if the 51, if the tires come back on the 51 after they cool down just a little bit.
Tony Stewart, speaking of tires, 12 laps fresher. He'll restart third. A late caution will reset him and go green when we come back to Sonoma, California. NASCAR on TNT, live in Sonoma, California. It is the Toyota Save Mart 350. And this is that stage of the race we've been talking about, when drivers get aggressive and go for it all. We're under caution for the second time today. That means we are going to get a double file restart with the race on the line. Clint Bowyer is dominated today, leading 66 of 107 laps. But he's going to restart on the front row with Kurt Busch, who's Mr. Aggressive. Let's get a report from his camp. Here's Chris Neville.
Yeah, Nick Harrison has been encouraging his driver all day. But, Nick, he faded there in about the last 10 laps. Is something broken on the 51?
It looks like there's a mess in the rear suspension. Maybe the track bar mount or something seems to maybe be broke. Rear end's wandering around, but, man, Kurt's did a heck of a job all day, and all my guys, they worked really, really hard. I hate we're not going to be able to finish it off, but it's still the car still has some speed in it. There's just a miss in the back of the car. But all the guys with Phoenix Racing and HendrickCars.com and Monster Energy, everybody that helps us out, I sure would wish we could seal the deal, and there's still some racing to go, but we have a little miss in the back of our car. But we're still going to try to get the strongest finish we can here. And, you know, I wish we had something for them, but I think we're going to have to limp out of here and salvage the best we can.
Still a strong day for this small team.
Thank you, Chris. There were a few drivers that came down pit road. Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton, Paul Menard, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, among those that made pit stops right there.
Yeah, I don't know what he's feeling in the back of the car when he talks about a miss in the back of the car, especially the track bar, like the rear's wandering around. Or if he's just running,
that if it was a
yeah,
track
you
bar,
would
right?
think the track bar, you would see it. The car would flop, and so many times when you watch these races, we've seen guys break track bars, and it could just be loose. I mean, it could be a point where he's broke the mount, and the mount is just flexing a little bit, or something like that. But we've seen the way these guys have beat it over these curbs. These cars take a physical beating up and down over these curbs. Stuff drags, stuff scrapes.
Oh, you haven't seen physical beating yet.
Yeah, well,
we're
that's
about
true.
to see
that may be
physical
after
beating.
the race. That may be after the race that we see a physical beating by somebody. That's true.
Something to think about here. The top two drivers came down pit road at 71 and 72. Tony Stewart, who restarts third, made a pit stop at lap 83. Fresher tires, I'm not sure what role that plays here, but if fuel comes into play because of a green-white checker, the 14 a car to watch. And let's not forget, his crew chief, Steve Addington, has won here twice. And we have gotten word from NASCAR we're going to exceed the scheduled distance, so it will be a green-white checker finish. You get 3 attempts. First a green flag lap, then a white flag lap, and if the leader takes the white flag before another caution comes out, the race is official with the next flag, whether it be the caution or the checker.
And I'm not sure why this caution was this long. I thought when we first went to the caution, they said it was going to be a quickie yellow because the 27 fired up and drove off. But we just saw Ryan Newman receive the wave around for the lucky dog, so he's gone back to the front, or back around to make up his lap.
Newman in 23rd.
Well, I don't care if he feels something in the rear or not. I believe 51 is going to run it in there pretty hard. I mean, you got to. If anybody has a shot right now, you got to run side by side up at least until two to have a shot.
That's right. And you see him weaving back and forth. The rear end was under the car as you see him weave back and forth. Whether he's trying to figure out that's what it is or clean his tires off at that point, hard to tell. So because 3 or 4 of those guys were, but you see as he weaves just a little bit.
And to Bowyer, he's got to get the best restart of the year in order to try to, if he can stay out in front of these guys when the flag drops, he's going to be tough to pass.
Today, TNT with a matinee in wine country. Next weekend, We're going prime time, Saturday. Saturday night. Clint Boyer, the race leader. We're going to get our first attempt at a green-white checker. Kurt Busch will restart alongside. Tony Stewart, a two-time winner at this track, restarts third. Jimmy Johnson won this race 2 years ago as fourth. Brian Vickers, making only his third start of the season, overcoming a pit road speeding penalty, will restart fifth. And right beside him, a guy who's been strong today, is teammate Martin Truex Jr. Jeff Gordon ran out of fuel under green earlier today. He's rallied back. He is seventh. Joey Logano, last year's pole sitter, restarts eighth. A.J. Allmendinger and Matt Kenseth will complete the top 10. Told you about our crew and how hard they've been working to make sure we've got the best pictures for you. I think this is evidence of that.
We may see more of these onboards before the last 2 or 3 laps are over with.
Kidding. Another thing you got to be careful here on this restart on these tires is the wheel spin when you get the green. That's why these guys are so busy cleaning their tires off right there.
Anxious moments for Clint Boyer. He had a lead of 2 seconds when the caution came out. Now he's going to have to hold him off on a restart. First attempt at a green-white checker.
Seats to have are in turn 2 right now.
When they get to the top of the hill, it's going to be all the way back through the pack. Not these first 2 or 3 rows. I'm talking about all the way back.
Pace car's off. We're going green at Sonoma.
Kurt Busch got a good start.
Yes, he did. Hung right there on the inside.
Yeah, looks like Stewart.
Stewart going to try and get inside at turn 2.
Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Now, Boyer drove off that corner and got the spot. Thought maybe Kurt Busch was going to stay underneath him for that left-hander, but Boyer did what he needed to do. That was drive straight off that corner.
The best thing that can happen for Boyer is if Kurt Busch keeps that 14 of Tony Stewart behind him. But I'm telling you, on cool tires, you know, after these tires have cooled off a little bit, Kurt's right there on him.
See Jeff Gordon trying to work his way through the traffic back behind him.
And something has happened here in the middle of the pack that we've missed a little bit, because you can see there's a big separation. There's Junior's car.
Yeah,
there's a big separation. So some of these guys at the top of the hill got together.
Let's look at the replay on the restart. Back behind the leaders.
This goes up over the hill and to the right, down to that, and you see these guys. They just get together right at the top of the hill. And these guys, that's the blind part of the racetrack. Right as you come over right here, you see they're already backwards. There's Junior already backwards coming across the racetrack. Oh, he gets hit hard by Eric.
Yeah. Keselowski, Harvick both spent time off track there. We get the white flag. 1 lap to go. We will not get another green-white checker finish. Clint Boyer, the race leader, and Kurt Busch stays right behind him.
And Kurt Busch is doing a great job of holding off that 14 right now. As he said, we're not going to be able to finish it off. We just hope we come out of here with something. Kurt Busch is carrying this car. If there's something wrong with it, with the back of that thing, he is carrying this car at this point. Tony got to look at him because he got up over
drove in there really deep.
Yeah, look at him smoke the tires.
Stewart makes the pass for the runner-up position, but he might be running out of time. Boyer in turn 7.
Yeah. See Vickers there.
Yeah, Vickers up to 4th now. Jimmy Johnson in 5th. And there goes Truex off course after a great day.
After a great day. Top 5, top 6 car, obviously.
You're going to be clear by 7, back to that 14, clear by 7.
Yeah, obviously somebody's got into him, it looks like, and spun him around. And that's what happens when everybody gets aggressive and tries to make something happen in these last 2 or 3 laps. It can ruin your day.
One of the great stories of 2012, the resurgence of Michael Waltrip Racing.
Tony smoked it down in there.
Today, Clint Boyer going to get them their first trophy of 2012.
Great job.
He drives it back to the start-finish line and wins the Toyota St. Mart 350.
Coming over here and doing this with us, my friend.
Great job by Michael Waltrip Racing. Clint Boyer, great run. Vickers finishes 4th, and you go back to the 56 of Truex. Just a bad ending to the day, but those guys were here all day.
Boyer's car just looked good. He just drove a good race the whole race.
Race.
That thing looked really, really good.
I'm happy that you guys came over here and raced with us. That's just unbelievable.
For Clint Bowyer, it's his 6th career win. Last time he went to Victory Lane, October last year at Talladega.
I think that shows that this win on a road course by Michael Law Corporation shows how far that team has come. It really has, because there's a lot of engineering and a lot of stuff involved when you come to a road course, a lot different than an oval. You see his old teammate Jeff Burton slow down to wave at him there, and Kurt Busch did a great job. You got to give a tip of the hat to that team, to James Finch and that team, and all that Kurt's done.
Let's hear from the winning crew chief, Matt.
He walked down off the box, took a big sigh. How nervous were you on that green-white checkered restart?
I mean, the bet we laid was earlier in the race, so we had to stick with it. We worked on forward bite at a test, worked on forward bite all weekend this weekend, and that's pretty freaking amazing right there.
A lot of expectations when you and Clint teamed up, or now you're finally starting to see the fruits of that labor, and those expectations come to fruition.
Yeah, Daytona, Phoenix, we're still getting our feet wet, made a lot of mistakes, but here the last month or so we've hit on some few things, and drivers. That's badass right there. That's badass.
A+ performance on the racetrack, and the A++ guys on the burnout.
Great day for Clint Bowyer and Brian Patty. Our teammate Martin Truex Jr. on track there at the end of the race. Went from 8th to 22nd. Mark Martin, a part of the family, not driving the 55 this weekend, offering his congratulations. And he has been a huge part of their success in 2012. Tony Stewart, a runner-up this afternoon, 2nd consecutive week. He's come up one short of victory lane. Congratulations there from Rodney Childers, the crew chief today for Brian Vickers. The celebration is on in wine country. Tip your glass to the 15 team. Clint Bowyer celebrating the win this afternoon. NASCAR TNT's post-race coverage live in Sonoma, California. There's the winning car. The winning drivers walk to victory lane. Understand, no matter how you get there, we're celebrating the checkered flag. It's all good. A hug for crew chief Brian Patty. Let's go down and join the celebration to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, normally they drive in, but he's getting hugs anyway from all the guys. Let me jump in here with you. Congratulations. Yeah, I guess you're a little tight on fuel there, huh?
Yeah, it was. I did a pretty good burnout back there in the back, and it started to blubber back there in the back. But just, super excited. Everybody involved to be in victory lane with this group so early in the season. It's just a dream come true. Very proud of all of our partners. Especially everybody at MWR. To move, switch teams like I did was a huge, risk and a chance for me, and it was obviously a chance for me to showcase my talents. So, proud of everybody back home to the shop. Thank you guys for building us good race cars. Thank you for, 5-hour. Unbelievable. I took one for the race, and I needed it. And everybody involved. Napa, Sprint. How about them fans, boys?
Hell, you won't need any 5-hour energy now. He's keyed up. Hey, tell me about everything that's going on here at MWR. Why is this team hitting it so strong all of a sudden?
Well, just working together. That's something that we're very proud of. All these guys work together, the crew chiefs, engineering staff, everybody at TRD. I mean, that's what it takes. All of our cars are in because everybody works together. I want to say hi to that 11-year-old Brady back home. 11 years old with stage 3 lymphoma. Hang in there, buddy. We're praying for you, and this one's for you. Thank you.
Who knew a guy from very flat, very straight Kansas could win on the twisting roads of the wine country in Sonoma?
He got it done today. Big fundraiser for Clint this week in Emporia, Kansas. And he will be going home with feeling good about himself. Matt?
And Kurt Busch almost pulled back-to-back wins here at Sonoma. It seems like half the garage has come by and congratulated you and these guys. Unsponsored car, you almost pulled off the win. What kind of statement does this send about this team's performance?
It's an amazing day when you can do what we did today.
I don't know. I'm a little choked up because, A, we were in position. B, I was very considerate to Boyer, who was going for his first win with the new team. And then C, which is most important, I made a mistake. I got into those tires in turn 11, and for years they've never been bolted down. They were bolted down this time, and it bent the right front up and it broke the panhard bar, and I'm just glad we brought it home third. If I was smarter, I'd have let Tony Stewart go a half a lap ahead. Maybe he could have got to Boyer for a big finale in turn 11, but unbelievable day with our Chevrolet. I want to thank James Finch, who's at home. He's like, hell with that road racing stuff. I don't need that. And I was hoping that I could be the road swinger that could bring it home for him. But amazing job the guys did, just nice and steady today. I just made that one mistake, and if you're not perfect in this game in Sprint Cup, then it's tough. But thanks to Monster, Tag Heuer, those guys been sticking with me. This car's available. I was going to call us Team Tiger Blood if we won, but I still might.
Kurt Busch, third here in Sonoma. Chris?
Well, Dan Earnhardt Jr. coming off that big win last weekend, but this weekend a little bit tougher go at it. You kept the car clean all day, but what happened on that final restart?
I don't know. We got run into coming over 4 and or coming over 3A, but we had a good car. You know, we got to get a little. We've had better cars here. You know, we struggled kind of all weekend. We didn't have real good speed in the race, but we just kind of hung around, and we were going to finish in top 15 there, and just. You know, the green-white checker, there's going to be some victims on that deal, and I was the one today.
Dale Jr. finished 23rd today. Marty?
Brian Vickers finishes 4th today. A lot of guys coming by congratulating you. Are you surprised you were able to finish top 5 today?
Oh, wow. You know, I mean, the effort that the MWR Toyota guys put on the track, having RK Motor Charlotte on the car this week, you know, all the support. The guys just done a great job from start to finish at the shop. Rodney gave me a good car. The stuff I learned this summer in Europe racing the sports cars with Rob, thanks again for that, Le Mans, I think helped me, but it also took me a few runs to get back to the heavy car, no traction control, a lot of horsepower. So that hurt us on Friday. I hurt us a little bit on Friday, but I think that all that time over there helped me on Saturday and Sunday, and I was glad to come home in the top 5.
You and Stewart had fresher tires, and the guys in front of you on that last restart. Were you thinking, okay, this is our chance to make a move here?
Absolutely. You know, him and I were just talking about that. I actually had a phenomenal car in the long run all day long, and that very last run we got loose, and I felt like I took care of my tires on the restart, but maybe not. And he said, funny enough, he was getting tight all day, and that last run, I think, from what we heard, the track just got loose, and it hurt me and helped him, and he ended up getting back by us, and I really thought we were going to have a 1-2, and it was going to be between him and I, but they just got enough distance on us that we couldn't catch him.
Speeding penalty matters not. Brian Vickers finishes 4th today.
An outstanding day for Brian Vickers. Top 5. What a day for Michael Waltrip Racing as we look at the results from today's Toyota Save Mart 350.
Yeah, great run, we said, by Brian Vickers, by Kurt Busch. You look at Jeff, those guys salvaged something out of this. Greg Biffle gets back up in there. And Joey Logano has another top 10 out here. Joey just top 10s him to death when he comes to this place.
His 3rd in a row on a road course.
Yes.
He was top 10 last year at both road courses. Matt Kenseth, not a bad day for the championship leader.
Like Truex down there at 22nd. Yeah. That hurts after running so well the whole race.
Yeah, he was 8th when he got turned around on that final lap. Here's some of those drivers that struggled this afternoon.
Yeah, Eric was involved in that thing with Dale Jr. Those guys, you look from there back, you know, a lot of these guys. We documented Juan's problems all day long. Denny Hamlin was in the garage area when it was over with.
Back-to-back bad weeks for Denny Hamlin. Tony Stewart been rolling. 2nd straight weekend. He's finished in the runner-up position. Marty Snyder?
Well, somehow, Tony Stewart went from 24th to 2nd. How'd you do that with only 2 cautions on the day?
Just like we planned. I mean, we planned on letting everything get settled out for a couple laps and just going one at a time. So we had an fortunate break at the end. We on the second to last pit stop there, they didn't get it. Something happened on plugging the fuel in and didn't get it full. So you know, that second to last caution there, we got a chance to come in for fuel and 4 tires, and that got us up through there. We just had 8 or 10 lap pressure tires in those guys. We still had to fight our way through there. We had a really good car. We just, just took all day to get the track position.
How about that battle with the 51 at the end? You went for the lead in 11, which was the right thing to do, but you had to hold off the 51 at the same time.
Yeah, and people probably didn't see it, but something was wrong with his car. Something in the rear end was breaking, and he was driving the wheels off that thing. I don't know how he kept it on the racetrack. Every time he'd go in the corner, it'd get tight on him, so he did a really good job of keeping that thing going.
Makes it 3 straight top 5s for Tony Stewart.
It's the summertime. That's when smoke usually gets rolling. Here are your NASCAR Sprint Cup driver standings after 16 races. Kenseth now 11 points in front of Greg Biffle, who jumps in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. after finishing inside the top 10 today. Tony Stewart, big gainer. He's up to 5th, and now you look at those outside the top 10. Carl Edwards, 11 back. Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman holding down the wild cards, having victories in 12th and 13th. Let's hear from Jimmy Johnson. Here's Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson, impressive run today here in Sonoma. The deciding factor for you guys on the restart, it almost looked like you guys were in the perfect position.
Yeah, we were sitting in a good spot. We just, just kind of bottled up in a couple situations. The 55 got by me, and wasn't able to kind of get through there. We were honestly more worried about fuel. We thought we were out of fuel and had big trouble there in that last restart. But luckily the car made it back. I'll take 5th. I wish we had a little bit more in the long run. We lacked a little of the 15 and the 51 in the long run. But, ran the top 5 all day, so it's hard to complain too much.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, buddy.
Jimmy Johnson, top 5 this afternoon after winning this race a couple of years ago. Been a fun weekend in Sonoma, California, as it always is. None better than Clint Boyer, who gets the victory today. Reminder, we'll be with you next Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from Kentucky, presented by KFC. Countdown to green at 6:30. And then we got race coverage following. Coming up next on TNT, it's our network preview show. Head over to NASCAR.com now for the NASCAR on TNT post-race show. Interviews, analysis, and more. It's live now on NASCAR.com. A special thanks to our production and management staff. Did a great job this weekend. Bree Smith, Nancy Smith, Lori Brooks, Sarah Phillips, and Savannah Brotherton. We got a great group of people. Now we'll load up and head back to Kentucky for next Saturday night. For Larry McReynolds, Kyle Petty, and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander. Thank you for being with us for NASCAR on TNT, and congratulations to Clint Boyer. He's a winner. So long from Sonoma.